This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Fulling Warehouse.
Nothing to do in Omaha? Not anymore. Introducing you to the Fulling Warehouse, where football meets bowling. 2 blocks north of 90th and 4th. 30 Fulling lanes, 2 full bars, perfect for any occasion. Bowling with a football. Check them out, fullingomaha.com.
The Creighton Blue Jays are in Philadelphia for a rematch against Villanova. Pre-game coverage begins Saturday morning at 10:30 with tip-off at noon. It's the Creighton Blue Jays, Saturday on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Student success in Nebraska Public Schools extends beyond the classroom. Paraeducators, nurses, psychologists, speech pathologists, and social workers are all part of a powerful team of professionals who keep our kids healthy, focused, and successful. Working together with parents, students, and the community, our public schools can help every student reach their full potential.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
$16.20 The Zone.
All right, good morning, everybody. It's a Feel Good Friday. We've reached the end of January. How about that?
Oh, my God.
Good.
A dry January.
Happy New Year.
Literally. We've had no rain.
That's the Lunar New Year. Happy wood.
Happy
wood. Would you like some wood?
I would love some snake,
How much-
actually. If you don't mind. Have you ever had snake? That's
I
something
thought you
that...
said steak.
No, snake.
I have not had snake. Does it
Okay.
taste like chicken?
Isn't that like the common trope, right? Everything tastes like chicken.
Because it does. Like alligator tastes like chicken.
So I was
I've
going
had
to say-
many alligator.
I was going to say, Florida man, you've had, I've had gator.
I've killed a gator.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Have you killed a python?
He's
Like, have
talking
you
about
gone
someone
python
from
hunting out there?
the University
No.
of Florida.
You should.
No,
That's
I shouldn't.
That's kick ass.
No, the alligator hunting was enough.
Yeah. How do you go alligator hunting? Is it shotguns?
So
or?
we went. It was at night, of course, and so you
Obviously.
get on the airboat and you troll around, and you're up
Mhm.
by the shore. And the guide that we had,
Yeah.
because there were 4 of us on the boat, and then there was the guide. The guide was fantastic. He goes, "This is usually where they've been sitting," and it was they have an open season for alligator hunting in the state of Florida.
That's awesome.
And so he goes, "You got to be ready," because he goes, "We're going to come up on one," and he goes, "I'm going to stun him because they'll flash the lights and it'll stun him initially, and then you've got to shoot them right between the eyes,
Heck
and
yeah.
then you got to be ready." He goes, "Because I'm going to back up quickly because it'll go into a death roll."
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times where you will shoot an alligator, and as it goes into its death roll, it will end up in your boat because now it's fighting for its life.
Really?
Yeah. So we went up, and we were all at the front of the boat,
Yeah.
had our guns ready, and the alligator went into the
That
death
is
roll, and we
sick.
backed out and came back and
That is so
collected
cool.
it, and we got to. I still have a couple of things from that. The only alligator I've ever shot,
That is, I'm going to tell you something right now.
but it does taste like chicken.
That is something that I'll never do,
Yeah.
but I love listening to that story. It's a sick story.
Never?
I will never. No, I don't do salt water.
What?
I don't go into salt water. I don't deal with that. I know that there
Why?
are freshwater alligators and whatnot. Or
Yeah, they don't live in salt water.
yeah. Oh well. Anyway, doesn't matter. I don't.
Why don't you
deal
go
with-
into salt water?
Because I get itchy. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I got stung by a jellyfish.
Oh,
And
makes sense.
number three, if I were made to be in water, I would have gills. Okay. I have feet
Whoa.
and a nose and lungs, and I'm meant to be on land. I'm a land animal. When we go to Florida, mom and sister and brother and brother's wife now, they go out on the beach, they build sandcastles and moats and whatever, and they run around in the water. Dad and I, we're at the pool. We're at a nice pizza. Nice
Okay,
little
that's
cabana,
okay. Okay,
just
I'm not
chilling
judging.
out. There's no,
All right,
there's
Gary
no
and land
There's no
animal.
sharks in the pool.
Pools in Florida are boring. You're
No, I
meant, you're
love a
meant to be
pool.
on the water. You got water on both sides of the state. You got the Gulf of America, and then you got the Atlantic Ocean.
I
By the way, there's I saw a notice from the place where I have my house.
Uh-oh.
yeah.
So hurricane season will be here before you know it, and it did say that the weather service that does hurricane stuff, the projection, and it said Gulf of America, and I'm thought, oh yeah, in Florida they've already gone to Gulf
Yeah.
of America,
I saw a video of guys flying in a private jet over
the Gulf of America.
the Gulf of America, and the pilot goes, and if you look out to your left, you will see the Gulf of America.
I feel like
Gee, I
you
wonder
have.
who he
I
voted
feel like
for.
you've cheated yourself when you go to Florida and you go to a pool at a hotel
I-
and not the actual beach.
I
What if it's the house you're
So,
staying
You don't have to get in the water. You can lay on the beach,
no, I lay on
Walk
the
on the
beach.
sand?
I've laid on the beach and I've walked on the sand.
stroll
and I've
on the
done-
pier.
Yeah,
Enjoy the scenery.
Fish.
I love the docks. I love being on the docks in Florida. One of my favorite
Mhm.
memories of Florida is my dad and I at like 7:00. We went out on the dock. We sat down. We looked out toward the
Oh,
ocean.
very
and we just-
romantic.
and we,
Oh,
yeah, it's my dad.
yeah.
And we just talked. We had a
Did
great
you,
time.
Did you bond even more?
Yes.
Did
him
you
and I
ask him, "Hey, where am I at on the level of your kids in terms of
I
the
am
will?
I am the favorite,
Yeah.
and he is literally
Are
told.
you going to
that.
get more in the will?"
You should.
No,
Yeah.
You gotta start
we're-
politicking
we're
now.
My,
30,
my
30,
brother,
30.
my brother and I battled for that.
Yeah,
Oh.
I should get a good lawyer. Is what you're telling me?
I know you just got to know your place. You
Yeah.
got to make sure you're prepared.
Absolutely.
So
keep your head in the swivel.
Yeah.
Don't get shocked and
Hey.
then shot between the eyes.
just check in periodically with mom and dad as you get a little bit older and say, "Hey, how you doing? How's our finances? Why are we spending so much money? Do we really need to buy that house? You
Yeah.
know,
How do you
Yeah.
think the Cubs are going to be?
you're teeing off from the 18th hole. Do we really need that house?
Do we really need to upgrade the Cup season tickets this year? Do we need to go from the 7th row to the 3rd row? Is that something that we really need to deal with? I totally agree with you. This is
Yeah.
look, listen, I'm learning, man. This is an educational program. I'm not only am I going to
Many
become a
people are
better
saying.
sports host, I'm going to become a smarter human being.
Right.
Just being around Jimmy Chavez and Gary Sharp.
Hey,
You're going to grow into a man.
You got to play the game.
I am a man,
You got to
but-
play the game.
Oh yeah,
But you're
that's
not 40.
life. That's
Uh,
life.
Hey, speaking of playing the game, all right. So it's a feel good Friday. I don't want to tinkle on Danny Sprinkle or Wayne Tinkle, but
Nice.
so last night at Pinnacle Bank Arena, I want to do this. I know that people are excited. I woke up this morning thinking, how big was that house that Illinois built with all their bricks that they were shooting last night?
Jeez.
But let's do this, okay? We kind of get caught. We're like prisoners of the moment. We like hyperbole and we like to project.
I love hyperbole.
Well, hyperbole sucks.
We're back.
This is no. Okay. I'm telling you right now. This is what everybody should do after watching Nebraska basketball snap their 6-game losing streak last night
Somehow.
in one of the weirder games that I've ever witnessed, just because the shooting was so friggin' bad and the decision making. And then at the end of the night, you're like, wow, that's how Nebraska wins basketball games. But they won a game last night in overtime when it would have been very easy, when things were starting to go south in the last couple of minutes of regulation, to give that game to Illinois. And even after the game got tied in overtime, you're like, and you could sense it. Like, we're going to talk about Pinnacle Bank Arena and the crowd, because
it wasn't just me.
People piss on the crowd at PBA and CHI, and those people that are not in the building, shut your face.
I agree.
Okay,
I
so
couldn't
we're
agree
going to
more.
get to that.
Couldn't agree
because I was
more.
there last night. But you know, like that crowd and the way you're playing, you get the sense of, here we go again.
Sure.
How the team on the floor is the same way. But just do this.
Mhm.
If you saw Jawan Gary at the end of the game last night, and he was a dog, DAWG. He played 41 minutes. He had an unbelievable one-handed rebound that I went, damn. Like, there's two things where
He
I
had a great block,
there's
too.
there's two things where I got kind of fully hussed last night. He had that one-handed rebound that was pretty fierce, and then a dunk by Bryce. But this is me. You guys can join the party. You can be Jimmy. You can be Mr. Hyperbole. You can be, you know what? If they beat Oregon, they beat Washington. That's 3 in a row. You know what?
That's a winning streak.
Now their net this morning is 62. Their Ken Palm is 46. Just do what Jawan Gary did after the game last night. He had this huge sigh of relief. Like, it was a relief that Nebraska won a game. And I don't think it means anything for Sunday.
Yeah.
I think it was a game where there's almost part of me that says, man, it was more about Illinois last night than with Nebraska, because Nebraska was who Nebraska is, and Illinois decided to play that game with them. But it's just a win. They won a game. They snapped the 6-game losing streak.
Better than the alternative.
I know that you say, man, it just takes one, and then you turn it around. I don't know. I've been fooled before. I'll just enjoy the moment last night that they beat Illinois and they beat Brad Underwood, and I have a lot of questions about Illinois.
I want to push back a little bit. I agree with you. I mean, you can't go 10 of 42 from 3 and say that it wasn't
10 of 42.
10 of 42 from 3.
And earlier in the week, or actually last week, Brad Underwood said, Matt, we need to get our free throw rate up. So you shoot 42 threes?
And by the way, they are not a good 3-point shooting team. They are in the low 30s. And so you could give a little credit to Nebraska's defense. I mean, that defense is made to play that way against that style of team. I'm saying a little bit of credit, little bit of credit.
They had the make or miss defense.
Yes. And they missed them. And that's when they beat UCLA, another ranked team at Pinnacle Bank Arena, they missed them, right? And that's just basketball.
They beat Creighton that way.
Yeah. So I'll push back a little bit in this regard. The effort was better on defense. The energy was up. The closeouts were there. Everything was a stark improvement from what we've seen, especially in the games against Purdue and the games against Wisconsin. And I think they were more consistent in terms of their effort when it came to the game in Maryland and USC and Rutgers. And I think that if they were to play how they did yesterday against those teams in those arenas, that they would have won those games and they would have closed those gaps.
Quite possibly. They have to do so much to win a basketball game. Their margin of error is so small.
It's so razor thin because
but
it's
why I'm not thinking ahead. That's why I'm
sure.
not.
And neither am I.
They won a game. Nebraska basketball. Who knows what happens? I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I don't think I am. They're in survival mode.
Oh yeah.
Like, they're game to game. They're not, okay, now let's start looking about the Q1 opportunities that are out there. That's just, they have the margin of error. They have to squeeze so much out of 40 minutes of basketball against a good team to like be in it to win it.
But I think that yesterday's effort was an improvement, and it's a little bit frustrating, though, to watch them have that increased effort and play better defense all of a sudden, because it gets you thinking, where the heck did this go? Like, why did it just disappear? Why did it go into the abyss? And why did you have to go on a 6-game skid that nearly and quite possibly still has derailed your entire season in order for you to play in that way that has you beating an Illinois team that is good, but did not play well? And so that's the frustrating part of this all. And it's a lot of the things that we've been talking about that led to yesterday's victory were increased effort in the defensive end, but Bryce Williams took 26 shots. And so many people have said to me, outside of the show, why I just want Bryce Williams to shoot. I don't care if he makes them. I don't care if he misses them. He's clearly the best option on the floor. Just give him the ball and let him shoot. He did it yesterday. Juwan Gary, do you know how many 3-pointers he took?
Not many.
0.
Because I didn't go, God dang.
0. He didn't take 1 3-pointer.
So you mean he took as many 3-pointers as Braxton Mia got minutes?
Yes. Which, by the way, that's matchup dependent, though, Gary. That's matchup dependent. Braxton Mia. It's matchup dependent.
Okay, pull this leg and it plays Jingle Bells.
It's matchup dependent, though. Come on, man. But anyway, it's a little frustrating to see them play at a higher clip yesterday in just terms of energy and see them win, because you're
but
like,
I think that's a cop out.
That's
such a low. You know what? Let's just hope they play hard and they don't quit. My probably I look at them differently than you do,
sure.
Because I'm in. I have to face reality when I look at this basketball team. I hate that the minimum is, just don't quit. Get out of here and play hard. Okay, they need some dudes. They got some deficiencies that we have talked into the ground around here. But I'm in a struggle of, man, I think they can be good. But God, they have to do so much to win. But I don't want to go there and play the game of, man, just don't quit and you guys are going to have a chance. All right, that is a glaring, oh my God. Now, they did play harder last night, but still, that's such a low bar that we go, man, if they play hard, they got a shot.
Well, I don't think it's just a low bar. It's just a statement of frustration that if they just, why did it go away and why did they stop playing that way? But what you're referring to, though, is this. When you don't have a lot of skill, you have to play a more physical, faster, more energy deficient style of basketball, and that wears down on you. And if you have more skill on the team, you don't have to expend as much energy trying to win basketball games. And if you just have dudes, at the end of the day, it's about making shots.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, Will Riley hits the 3. The tone is completely different around here because that would have been the first time Illinois led.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so a lot of teams, at the end of the day, basketball comes down to, we're going to run a set and we're going to try and get a really good look. And 20 seconds are going to go off the shot clock and we're not going to be able to get our set. And the best team goes, okay, here you go, Yakachonis. Go and get us a bucket. Here you go, RJ Davis. Not a great example. Go get us a bucket. Here you go, Stevie Mitchell. Here you go, Kalkbrenner. Here you go, top player in the country. Go and bail us out here because we couldn't get a good enough set in order to set up our offense to go and score a bucket. There were times, and especially during the 6-game stretch, where they couldn't do that. Yesterday, Bryce Williams took 26 shots.
He had 27 points, to be fair.
Yes, 27 points.
Yeah,
and he had 8 points in overtime.
That's why I'm not going to overthink last night.
Neither am I.
They needed a win. It's a win. It's a relief. They don't have to go to Oregon on a 7-game losing streak. Oregon got crushed last night at UCLA. But this team is just day to day. I mean, I've kind of thought that. And they're just day to day. And you have no idea what's going to happen in Eugene. You have no idea what's going to happen in Seattle. But there's still a lot of me last night, because that was exactly who Nebraska is that played that way. Now, Hoiberg, Sam and Fred had a good night last night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sam is – I can't imagine this team without Sam on game days and non-game days, because he gets everything out of his whole basketball repertoire. And he's such a difference maker on the floor, but he's not a guy that's going to light it up.
Exactly.
But he's going to make heady plays. I thought Fred had a very good night last night in terms of out of timeouts. Like, they exploited Will Riley on baseline out of bounds plays.
They did.
I mean, Fred and Sam had a good night last night. But man, there's still, I keep going back to, I want to like Illinois, but and they were 10 in the net going into last night's game. I know they've got their leading rebounder is out with mono, but I don't know about them. They strike me as a team that gets a high seed and is out in the round of 32. Because I have no idea what they were doing last night. They took 42 threes, and that's Nebraska's defense. Nebraska let them shoot, and it would have been, it was the Creighton UCLA, we'll let you shoot, and if you make it, we're in trouble. If you don't, we got a shot. They were 10 of 42 from 3-point range last night. And what was the I put this on my phone. I got to look here. What was the final total with they have 17 turnovers and they only had 7 assists. I've never seen a college basketball game where A team does not have an assist in the first half.
I was about to say, they went a whole half
Yeah.
without an assist. Jakachonis was checking up threes at one point, and it was just like, dude, they're not going in. Maybe switch it up. Boswell, who is kind of so Jakachonis is the NBA player, but
You can kind of see it too, can't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you see him in person, he'll be good in the NBA.
yeah. Jakachonis is the NBA player, but Kylan Boswell is the college player. And you kind of get where I'm getting at there, right? It's like, Kasparis is going to be great in the NBA, but it's clear that his game and how he plays isn't necessarily toward that high. It just got catered to the college game.
Yeah.
Right. And don't get me wrong. The guy's awesome. The guy's really good. The guy's going to make a difference on the floor.
Passer in the NBA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Boswell is kind of the glue of that team and is the college player that is going to lead them to wins. When he has 8 points and he's going 4 from 3, Illinois on no given night is going to beat good teams or teams that are competing at a high level that night, right? When they beat Michigan State, it wasn't because Jakachonis was playing great or anything like that. It was because Boswell stepped up and he played a high level game. And so, they just did not play well. And it's just one of those teams where it's just like they like to offensive rebound, and that's a part of their identity.
They did that last night.
They do a good job, but when you're losing your starting center, and it just, I don't know, that injury is way bigger than I think people realize.
They strike me as a team, watching them like in person. They're physical, man. They are, but they also, it's like that they will not get friendly whistles in the NCAA tournament.
No.
They are physical. They, as you were alluding to, they had 58 boards last night, and 20 of them were offensive rebounds, but they're a team that has too much of a high variance. For a team that turns the ball over as much as they do, and they don't make threes. Like, that's a bad combo to have.
But Gary, the worst combo is a team that doesn't make threes that just continues to shoot them. They weren't making threes, and they just continue to chuck them up. They shot 42 of them, and the game still went to overtime, and they still nearly won the game. I totally agree with you. Nothing about this game is making me look at the future of Nebraska being like, okay, they can string together a couple of wins and they can, oh my God, they can make the tournament and, the stretch gets a little bit easier and they can rattle. I'm not doing that. All I'm doing is I'm retrospectively looking back toward the other games that they played and saying, man, if you just had 10% more effort against USC, if you had X amount of more effort against these teams.
I'm not an effort guy. You're an effort guy. You're a guy that didn't have much talent as a high school hockey player.
Yes.
That you did it with effort. I'm like, you got to get some dudes to win some basketball games. Nebraska doesn't have dudes. I hope this year, when this year unfolds, and again, I want to be wrong. I want them to be in the NCAA tournament. I still think now they're in a mode that, first of all, you got to get in the Big Ten tournament. Now they got to probably win a couple of games there. Now, the resume is still actually kind of like interesting, and Tim Kruger, who does brackets, Mr. Bracketology, is going to join us at 8 for the first time in the bracket season. The resume is still kind of interesting because the Creighton win all of a sudden is starting to look better.
Yeah.
You got UCLA, who has won 5 in a row and absolutely throttled Oregon last night at Pauley Pavilion. You got this win on your resume. So they still are in a conversation, but I hope when this season is done and Fred looks at the things that ailed this team, he realizes that to win in the Big Ten consistently, you can still do what he likes to do, and that is play defense and play gritty. But man, you got to have some dudes, and they are about a dude and a half.
Agreed.
And because Bryce, yes, kind of took over, but Bryce is a supporting actor, not the main lead. Is you got to have some dudes, and they also in the offseason, they got to get a real point guard. They are all over the map. They had 4 different guys play point guard last night. I guess what probably, as I'm talking through this, kudos to Nebraska for winning a game like this, because they could have easily dropped this, and Will Riley could have hit that 3.
Yes,
and you would have been like, well, that's Nebraska basketball. But they won, and I just enjoy it today. Don't think, okay, they're going to get Oregon, they're going to get Washington, just enjoy it today and go, man, whew, ooh, it's a make or miss sport. Guy missed. Nebraska made shots, and Bryce found a way to make plays at the end of the game.
No, for the future of this team, for down the line, years down the line, the Fred Hoiberg tenure or whatever. Couldn't agree more. They got to get more guys who can handle the ball. They got to get more guys who can create their own shot off the dribble. They got to get more guys who, if the set isn't exactly tailored to, they still can grab the ball and go and get a bucket.
Yeah. Don't you think their spacing is so night and day between when Essegian is out there compared to Wooster?
Oh,
it's just night and day. It's amazing.
Because when Essegian is out there, or when Essegian isn't out there, rather, who are you relying on to consistently knock down threes?
Yeah.
It's the ultimate. Our friend Jacob Bigelow has said it multiple times. They're the ultimate no, yes team, in the regard that almost everybody who takes a 3-point shot, maybe other than Bryce and Connor, you're like, not a great shot, and then it goes in. So they got to get more talent. They got to get more skill. But for right now, for what this team is, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, Gary. I'm just saying what it is now and how they're going to win games. It is going to come down to effort and what you're talking about.
Such a low bar.
But it's such a low bar. It is a low bar.
Is that where Nebraska basketball is?
That's where they are right now, because you're right.
Sucks.
But that's where you're right. You're right because it's a low bar. And why is that a low bar? Because they don't have the dudes.
Guys, don't quit.
But their coach is saying that on the podium, and their coach is saying that that's their identity, and their coach is saying
he got validated because it was
they got to be gritty.
It was the Super Bowl. It was kind of weird because last night was the Super Bowl and Zach Taylor was sitting courtside. I don't think they made the playoffs.
Well, no. Actually, that's fitting that Zach Taylor would be watching the Super Bowl and not coaching in the Super Bowl. So if anything, that made sense. But regardless, he actually did coach in one Super Bowl. So don't come at me, Cincinnati Bengals fans. It was a joke.
Get at him and remind him that Cam Taylor-Britt has been infected with the Bengals, saying crazy stuff, and he's a good dude.
But that's where you and I are agreeing here, because the bar is low, and that's what this team has to do to win games. And you're absolutely right that they need to get more dudes, but they're not making trades, to bring in more guys right now.
Jimmy, you remember that idea I had in college athletics that you should be able to trade?
Yeah.
They're not bringing in Jimmy Butler, all right?
That'd be awesome.
Trade for a veteran point guard.
Like, we'll offer you Mia and a bag of basketballs.
I was about to say, for what? What would you take? A bigger bag of basketballs? I mean,
whatever gets
combined last night. Good. I mean, Nebraska won the game.
They won a game.
57 to 151 shooting, 15 to 62 threes.
No wonder I was nodding off.
I mean, I was
fighting it.
It was one of those. It was a very interesting game.
It was an interesting.
Like it. I wonder what the reaction in Champaign is this morning on the radio. If they have any sports talk shows there.
I could probably get some info on that if you would like me to.
Like in Champaign?
Yeah.
That's true. He'll call us people. Texas people.
Because I mean, they trailed the entire game.
Yeah.
And then they started to come back, and trust me, we all thought, I've seen this before.
Seen this song and dance, yeah.
This is gonna happen. And I don't know.
I think you're on.
I think they're around a 32 knockout. I'm not sold on them because I think
no.
That's really not that. That's really not that new for this team under Brad Underwood. They made
they're 10 in the net, my man.
They made the Sweet 16 last year. I mean, they were a better team with going to be retired number Kofi Coburn, and they got knocked around in the first and second round when they were probably even a better team then than they are now. But
I wonder if they've.
I agree with you.
No, they're missing a key person. But I wonder if they've reached their ceiling. I want to like them. I think they have some intriguing pieces. But the one thing that is different, that was kind of odd last night. So during Brad Underwood's time at Illinois, they've always had athletic big wing players.
Yes.
Okay, which you need in the Big Ten Conference. Nebraska had a combo of better big athletic wings than Illinois did in Gary and Williams, which is kind of odd. Like, this is, I do want to like Illinois.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. There's too much of a variance on how they play that I go, well, they're not going to be the team that is in the second weekend representing the Big Ten along with Michigan State.
Illinois, during this very, very good stretch that they've had under Brad Underwood, you're spot on, has been they're going to have an elite point guard, and they're going to have a physical big man down low, and they're going to play that kind of two-man game, and they're going to get downhill, and they're going to get to the basket, and then they're going to have athleticism on the defensive end, and then they'll have a little bit of spacing. when you take away that physical big man and then you have to replenish that with more talented athletic wings, that doesn't play in their favor, which is why this Ivicic injury or mono or sickness or whatever the heck we're going to really label this thing as is such a big loss for them. But at the same time, you cannot be a team that makes 30% of your threes on average and take 42 of them in a game. And by the way, they were missing them. They were missing them, and they still were taking them. And once again, I'll give kudos to Nebraska for being like, all right, hey, if you got them, smoke them. If you go ahead, just keep shooting them. But at the same time, they missed 32 threes, and still this game went to overtime.
Yeah. I mean, so that's why I want to hear what you're talking about in Champaign.
And you can. There might be, I think they're talking about the same things that we are. They're saying, man, Ivicic being out is a bigger deal than maybe we realize, and they got to stop shooting all those 3-pointers. But, man, they played terrible, and they were still in that game on the road against a team that at one point could have been ranked after beating UCLA. So I think you and I are lockstep in the point that, yes, this team just needs to get more talent next offseason, and the razor, we've talked about this, right? The margin of error is so thin, and they have to play so hard in order for them just to be in games. But at the same time, I'm still a little frustrated that there was no effort in those previous games, and those games were still close, and they still could have won those games. And if you just played with 10% more effort, what if there was just a better closeout against Rutgers? What if there was just 2 more better closeouts against Maryland? What if there was just a little bit more energy against Rutgers?
I'd hate to have that as a coach, that's how we're determined. But that's where they're at.
That's where they're at, and that's what they've been talking about. And and every week for the last 3 weeks, he gets on the podium, and those are the buzzwords: grittiness and defensive and effort and passion and energy.
He got. I mean, again, Fred and Sam had a good night last night. But Fred saying that this was our Super Bowl and they won, because if that shot goes in by Will Riley, I'm telling you, shut down PBA.
It's a great point.
Just let Britt Prince play and get ready for baseball and softball. Because if they would have lost in that manner where they never trailed until the final shot of the game, they would have been done.
Oh,
you would have
done.
You would have just opened up the building and shown Tominaga highlights, or let people watch Rink Mass Rehab.
The rest of the season would have been
like Josiah Alec just hang around and greet fans.
Just be there. Yeah.
The rest of the season would have been like, oh, they're on today. Okay. I'll turn it on, I guess.
And you're right. And here, like, it's the addictive, like, Nebraska basketball is a drug. Like, some drugs are bad for you, and they really mess you up. Some drugs are really good for you.
Yeah, and they heal you.
Some drugs are they're fake drugs.
Yeah.
And you do tricks with your mind. But here's what happened.
Placebo.
And I am F you, Hoiberg, because you hooked me to watch at 6:30 on Sunday night against Oregon. Like, God dang, Nebraska basketball is a confusing drug. I don't even know if the FDA allows it, because if they see
like Delta 8,
if they see what it does to the fan base,
nice.
They're like, I am not approving that drug.
No, it's FDA certified, but not FDA approved. There's a difference.
If it makes you feel better, there's nothing else on Sundays. So.
That might be in the 6 weeks we've been on air. I think that is my favorite comparison that you've made: Nebraska basketball and drugs.
It is.
No,
drugs are bad.
Hey, drugs are
good.
Dude, my Sunday is now scheduled out. I'm like, well, I got to watch this game at 6:30 at night in Eugene, Oregon.
6:30, it's okay.
How about in Eugene? So Oregon got throttled last night.
UCLA shot the lights out.
Oregon's
yesterday.
a weird team to me too, because I look at them and I watch them play and I'm like, okay, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I watch them play the next night and I'm like, whoa, Dana. But 4:30 Sunday afternoon in Eugene, Oregon for a Big Ten basketball game. They already don't draw very well. They're playing at 4:30 on a Sunday at home.
Over under
at home on a Sunday.
What over under?
It's like the Big 12 back in the day.
What are we thinking, boys? 6,000?
I'll say 4,500 people.
Okay, so you'll take the under.
I feel bad for Dana and Kevin.
I'll take the over barely.
Two great guys, great Nebraskans that are running the Oregon basketball program.
I don't know why
they have no support. They've been a really good program. They They get no support
Isn't it
for men's basketball there.
It's that court. Messes
Isn't
with
it?
your
Isn't it
eyes.
so random where you got a team like Penn State, who, dude, on Saturdays that place turns into a church. You got 110,000, 100,000 people show up. They're screaming,
Oh.
cheering at the top of their lungs, watching their football team.
Thought he meant Bryce
And
Jordan.
When they go and play at home in basketball, it looks like a high school gym.
It sounds like church.
I mean, I'm not asking for Penn State to sell out their basketball stadium, but can it not be as embarrassing?
I know they got blown out last night against
They got-
Ohio
they
State, but
got
they should play in
throttled.
Rec Hall.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing with
Still
Oregon.
can't fill it.
Like you have 100,000 people go to that football game on a Saturday.
It's 53.
No.
Is it? Is
Yeah,
it
sounds
it's-
like
it's-
100.
I think
Okay.
it's the smallest stadium
smallest
in the Big Ten,
stadium?
isn't it?
Oh,
But they make noise. They make a
I
lot
was
of
about
noise.
to say.
so it-
I
yeah.
you would think. You would
Yeah,
think with
it's
how
not-
loud
it's-
it is.
it's-
That's on me.
It's
But-
I was when we went out there for the 17 game.
yeah.
I knew it was a small stadium. I was surprised how small it is.
Really?
But it's
See, I-
loud. It's
Yeah.
loud and it's a
I was
great
about to say,
atmosphere.
you hear it on TV,
Yeah.
and you're like,
They
you would
do
think,
a
hey,
good
so
job. Of
Now,
Yeah.
now the one thing so now this has turned into a Eugene, Oregon discussion.
sure,
Nice.
I love it. This
Eugene,
is radio.
Oregon is in the middle of nowhere, so you got to
Okay.
drive a little bit south of
Mhm.
Portland.
Corvallis
It's not
is easier.
it's not a huge town.
Yeah.
It's a good granola town. Like you want to get some weed, you want to get some Birkenstocks.
Okay.
All right. You want to be partially naked on the corner protesting whatever the protest of the day is.
Yeah.
That's the perfect place for you.
Sure.
Sign
but-
me up.
But where the
what a description of a town.
but where the basketball arena is not on
Yeah.
campus.
Uh,
It's kind of like I don't know that it's
Oh.
downtown.
yeah.
But I don't know. Eugene, Oregon is in a weird outpost of where it's
Is-
at because there's not a lot around it. It's not like it's suburban Portland.
Right.
Sure. I didn't
But
know
but
that.
still,
You would-
4:30 on a Sunday.
You would think more people. You would think more people would go for a team
Yeah.
that is actually really good.
Yeah.
Good
the Blazers
good
aren't
in
very
terms
good,
of
so
the-
you might as well go watch a good basketball
in
team.
respects of the country. It'll be an interesting game. We'll see what happens. Just don't like.
Crap the bed.
The idea in my head going into yesterday's game was okay. If you win,
Mhm.
just don't get throttled.
Students should storm the floor if they win.
No,
They did not.
if
I was
Good.
afraid they were going
Good.
to.
if they were to win against Illinois, just don't get throttled against Oregon because that would kill any momentum that you would have, right? But they beat Illinois, but the way they beat Illinois, I don't think garners a lot of momentum because Illinois was that bad. So at this point, I'm actually going to redact my thought that don't get throttled against Oregon. It doesn't matter. Just go out and play and let the chips
Don't
fall
get
where they
hurt.
may.
Just don't get hurt.
Let's just all agree to enjoy today as a Nebraska basketball follower that they won against Illinois for the first time in a long time, and they just won. Don't overthink it. That's what we do. We do this much in society. We overthink things.
Dude, look who you're talking to.
Like if you're thinking about driving to Lincoln, take I-80. Don't think. You know what?
Don't
I
think.
wonder if it's quicker to go through Fremont and Wahoo.
It's not.
No, just don't overthink it. Just get on 80 and drive to Lincoln.
kiss.
We do that way too much. We overthink things.
kiss.
No, I'm not going to kiss you.
Keep it simple.
I got a
stupid.
cold.
Oh.
I got a cold. I don't want to give it to you.
Keep it simple, stupid.
I do like the bass though, and the voice very
Yeah, you sound like the guy who did the top 40 for a second. What was his name? I'm
or
forgetting.
Happer the other
Rick
day.
Dees.
No, Dees.
Casey Kasem?
Casey Kasem. You sound like him
All
for a
right,
second.
coming up later on the
Coming
show.
up later on the show.
Speaking of which, Tim Kruger, as I mentioned, will stop in.
with this new hit.
He has got a new gig. He's still got Blue Jay banter, but he's expanded his bracket world, and he's got his latest bracket. He'll release it this morning, but he'll tell us on the show before it becomes public. He'll join us at 8, Mike Schaefer at 9, and then Matt Verzal at 9:20. That's the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. You guys like high knees last night? He all of a sudden is working a lot of Nebraska games.
He
I
worked a lot
noticed
of
that.
Nebraska games last year, I thought. I mean,
Maybe it's more noticeable this year because
they're getting higher.
he had
Aren't the knees getting a little bit higher? They looked a little higher than
Yeah.
usual yesterday.
he's a nice guy, but
Sure.
that was an interesting game last night. Brad Underwood, I was waiting for a meltdown. Never got a good meltdown.
We every time that High Knees is working the game, there's a text sent in a group chat. Boys, we got High Knees tonight. You know, and Kelly Pfeiffer gets that
But probably because I think he's banned from working Creighton games here in Omaha. He's working more Nebraska games. Now, technically, he's not banned.
I was about to
but
say,
I think
yeah.
the enjoyment of the Creighton basketball program to having High Knees work a game at the Chi is about as exciting as having the fungus on your toe.
Wow.
That's a popular thing. I'm seeing it more and more that there's a lot of fungus talk.
Yeah.
There's a lot of commercials. I don't know if it's that time of the year, but there's a lot of fungus commercials on TV.
Aren't there less?
That people are struggling with the fungus on the toe.
Yeah.
Isn't there less and less though athlete's foot commercials though? I feel like athlete's foot used to be a major commercial.
Tough
that
actin'
we
Tinactin.
saw. Are there even? What was that? There used to be a name brand athlete's foot brand, and now I even forget about what it. You spray it on there.
So has the fungus replaced the athlete's foot?
I
I like the turf toe, but you know.
Oh, turf toe is a son of a gun.
Like Betty in HR doesn't get turf toe.
Mhm.
Sure. Does
Jack
she get
Lambert
athlete's
got
foot,
turf
though?
toe and had to retire.
I don't know. Do we have a Betty in HR?
Do we have a Betty in HR?
We do have an
Do
HR.
we have an HR person?
We do.
What's her name?
Rebecca.
Oh, that's what
I don't
she
know
does?
if she has athlete's foot though.
I thought she was something else. She's HR?
Yeah.
Huh. Look at us.
Today.
Tomorrow she could be something different.
Tomorrow she'll be Connor's co-host with Josh.
Actually, Rebecca spins a wheel every day to figure out what she's
Today you're
going
going to be on Sweet. All right.
Hey, janitor duty. Woo!
I am the GM of the building today.
You two fight to the death.
I am Gary, and I am Gary's co-host today.
Coming up, we will discuss some other things about last night because people that don't get us, and we were just talking about the attendance in Eugene. We love sports around here. We support our sports. People don't get volleyball that are not from here.
Yeah.
And last night, next to the Tomahawk Jam by Bryce Williams, the biggest pop was the GOAT, man. He got honored during the first time out. Man, people love them some John Cook, and you
Nice
should.
coat.
And I hope you loved his press conference
It was
yesterday because
awesome.
he won it.
It was
All right, off
awesome.
and running on a Friday. It's Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in. Gary and Matt on a Feel Good Friday, the last day of January. Dry January is over. I'm not into the snow prediction business, but
It's looking good.
guess what tomorrow is? February 1. Guess what the ground looks like?
Beautiful.
Barren.
Yeah.
Barren.
Oh.
Barren Trump. What is he, like 6'5"?
Yeah.
Like 6'8". The dude
Is he 6'8"?
I'm pretty sure he's 6'8".
He looks like he could be a stretch 5.
Let me look it up.
Like he hit a major growth spurt.
Yeah.
He's 18 years old, and he is
By the way, the only-
6'7".
Excellent spurtability.
6'7".
He should walk on.
Yeah.
So he's taller than Baron Davis. I can't think of
shout
any
out.
other
B.
Barons.
Diddy.
Baron.
Baron von Raschke?
There's a Baron von Blade.
Weren't one of the Von Trapps named Baron?
I believe so.
Probably.
Yeah.
Baron
You're
Davis.
the theater guy,
My-
Matt, so you
my-
can tell.
Baron
Trap
Davis.
name.
Baron Davis. There's got to be another Baron.
There was the
This is gonna
Red
kill me
Baron,
the
the
rest of the
pizza
day.
guy.
But the ground outside is barren. I'm
Rodent on Sunday.
Stick to sports. Here is Andrew. Good morning, Andrew. Andrew
Andrew.
Oh,
gone.
no.
This has been happening.
Nebraska ball, Mike.
Mike.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh.
what are you doing right now?
What do you mean? What am I? I'm on the phone with you.
I didn't know what you were doing. You're up early.
Yes, I am.
Yep. Is this because of what happened last night?
I did.
Did you sleep at all?
I did.
Okay.
John Cook, congratulations. Not bad for a guy in his late 60s, dude. You earned everything you got, man. And you built 2 conferences. So that's your legacy. And you know, Danny, you got work to do, but you can do it.
Yeah, you hear. I want to insert one quick thing about that.
Yeah.
She's not going to need a honeymoon.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She's gonna hey, she's gonna be fine.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
gonna be fine.
It's, you know, I'm a little worried about the Frank Solis syndrome, but I really don't think she'll have that problem.
So let me address this because someone brought this up to me yesterday because we were trying to make a correlation from T.O. to Frank and John to Danny. Is Frank had only learned under Tom, and he was never in the role to run a program. Now, 58-19 is 58-19, but
Great.
with Danny, so Tom, you know, and here's the thing, like, it might have been different, you know, because Frank had a chance to go to KU. If Tom would have said, hey, Frank, go bet on yourself, go learn, and then come back. That's what John did to Danny.
Mm-hmm.
He said, go learn. You want to bet on yourself. Because she said, I want this job. And he said, the only way you're going to get this job is you got to go somewhere else and have a resume. And she did that. So I get the correlation, Mike, but I think it's different in this case because she went somewhere and proved herself at the highest level.
If the story you said yesterday about John Cook asking her to switch positions and what she said is true,
Yes, she swore.
that's swag.
Swag.
Yeah,
That's confidence.
she's a winner. She's
She
a
is.
winner. They're going to be fine.
This state's going to be fine for volleyball.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Ain't nobody going to come in here and walk away with an easy win anywhere.
Are we-
Omaha too.
okay.
Coach Hoiberg, I wonder what would happen if you put Mr. Sejan and Mr. Griffiths on the floor at the same time. I know he's in a milk carton, but you brought him in to shoot. And I don't know what he's doing in practice. I don't know what you're doing in practice. One game, do it for a month. You got to cover your ass because this team lost 6 games because they couldn't find a shot.
Mike,
You got a
Mike.
shooter on the bench. You're not using him.
Yeah.
He's going to transfer.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, might be.
Hey,
okay.
I don't, Mike.
Why?
Don't get agitated about Double G spending more time on the bench than on the floor.
Why?
just-
He can shoot.
Um,
If that's the one thing he can do, let him do it.
Yeah, but I think he's right now more of a liability than an asset.
Defensively or what?
Well, I mean, they brought him here to shoot. When's the last time he made a shot where you went, okay?
When's the last time he played to make a shot?
I played against Wisconsin.
Yeah.
We were down 20 by the time he
Okay,
got in, weren't we?
that's fair. Thanks for calling me out. I don't know.
Played against Southern.
I don't know what happened, but he is just not an option.
I don't get that. You bring in shooters and you don't let them play to shoot.
Yeah, I don't know if it's they can't trust him on the other end of the floor, whatever it goes into it, but I think he's getting closer and closer to Pat Norris on the bench, and Pat sits at the end and he's the equipment guy.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, this team still got some work to do.
Yeah, and just
I don't get it.
enjoy today. Go for a spin around the neighborhood. Enjoy the win, and then don't overthink it. They won a game, and who knows what happens on Sunday.
When do you want me to come in and get my C-note? I'll bring donuts.
To get your what?
He
You
won.
remember
the,
he won.
He won the
He won a
contest.
C-note.
That's right. I was away. Congratulations.
He's getting his C note.
I don't know, Jimmy. When
Jim?
Me, I'm not giving out the money.
um,
You can come
Do I
anytime
have
you want.
permission to come in
Mike,
and
give it a
sit
couple
in.
of days, and sometime next week, and after that, any day you want.
There you go.
I'll let them know.
Get your C
Okay.
note. Go to Blue Man Group.
Yeah.
Have a great time.
Maybe they'll give you a show here.
I don't know about that.
We'll speak for you.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, Mike. Thanks for the phone call. All right, I have to apologize.
Already.
People that just saw what I did on TV. Forgive me, Father Devaney, for I have sinned. Father Osborne. I completely forgot. Thank you, Zach. Oh man, I feel terrible about this. I forgot about Baron Miles.
Oh, yeah, we got tweeted at about it. Yeah.
My God.
It's
That's
early.
me.
You were out at the game last
Just like
night.
Illinois missing threes, I missed
It
on
was a
that
bad
one.
one. I like
That
it.
was a brick.
No, even I'll take some responsibility.
That was a
because
brick.
I've talked about Bear Miles on this show before.
Speaking of former Husker kids, I know people saw. I imagine they showed on TV of Harburg's dunk that he won.
Yeah.
Buy some stock in Quinn Clark.
Okay.
So Quinn Clark was in the dunk contest last night.
Athlete.
Oh,
Yeah.
the son of Kenny.
Yeah.
They already liked him this past year. Boy, he can get up now.
He got meant. People were saying when Dana was like, "Hey, we got a couple guys that you haven't really heard of who might make an impact." Like a lot of people were like, and the speculation was that's Quinn Clark.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing, Harburg is building his body to play tight end.
I was about to say.
Yeah, he'd be a Coke machine playing quarterback right now.
The quote at my house last night is, "Wow, he's effing ripped."
Yeah.
No, they he did that dunk, and I'm sitting next to people. I go, "There's a tight end."
Yeah, and it's pretty athletic tight end.
Yeah. Very athletic. That dunk. I'm sorry, he made it look easy. That ain't easy. That was impressive.
All right, during the break, I will say 10 hail Huskers for missing on Baron Miles. We'll come back. Andrew is back. Creighton is at Villanova tomorrow. And Omaha is home tomorrow night with the trash can promotion that we will talk about and much more. Plus, there have been grades given out to second-year head coaches in college football. Nebraska's coach, who was there last night, is in his second year. It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back, and hour number 2 of Feel Good Friday. Tim Kruger, Mr. Bracketology, for the morning show. He's coming up at 8. Where does he have Creighton? Are they on an 8 line? Are they in an 8-9 game? You want to avoid that 8-9 because you play the 1 seed?
Where is Creighton?
Speaking of that, here is Andrew. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning.
Boys, that game that happened last night with Nebraska and Illinois.
Be careful.
Probably was the worst game I've ever seen.
Hey, Drew. Hey, Drew, real quick. Drew, who won? Hey, Drew, who won? Who won, Drew?
I know where you're going.
There you go.
But
there
anyway,
you go.
I've seen worse games. But...
I've done worse games.
I've seen Creighton play against Nebraska.
Whoa.
That was bad.
Whoa, wow. Choosing violence at 7:02.
Hey, they won. Don't come on.
Come on.
Just saying.
Let's not compare. Even a blind squirrel can find a nut. But
I'm sorry.
The inside for Illinois was open all game. They didn't even try to run any offense. It was terrible. And Nebraska ball got a gift last night for some terrible coaching, and Nebraska ball is just not good. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade.
How many days was it, Gary? How many days was it?
I'm the middle guy, so you guys continue to.
He's just listening.
And there was a great moment that John Cook send off was very nice.
Yes.
But it was. I thought it would be interesting, and I know he was interested in it. I would have loved to see what he was as an athletic director.
Mm-hmm. I think he would have been fabulous.
Gone down as one of the best of all time.
I agree.
If he had this shot, but
I agree.
That's every time I see him, I think that we missed out on probably one of the better athletic directors we've ever had.
Yeah, and he's going to be kind of explain the role that he's going to be in. Troy Dannon. He's a very good mentor. I think he, as an athletic director, he would have been just like Bill Byrne, where I'm never going to tell you no, but I think he would have been a great coach's athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need? Let's discuss. I understand what you're going through. Yeah, I'm in lockstep with you, Andrew. I think that would have been the next level of greatness at Nebraska that John Cook would have added.
Yeah, and I think he would have nailed it.
Yeah,
and it would be awesome. I see that UNO is on the play-in game on ESPN's bracket.
Yeah, they are. They're 15 or 16 in some brackets, but they got to bounce back tomorrow night.
Wouldn't that be nice to see?
It would be the best thing in the history of Division I athletics, including hockey at Omaha. Nebraska men's basketball makes the NCAA tournament.
That would be sweet.
Yep. Andrew, thanks for the phone call. What, how are we feeling tomorrow on the main line in Philadelphia?
It's away, and Villanova and Creighton always play.
You cannot come in here. You cannot come in here firing at me, talking about my alma mater, and then all of a sudden you go, well, I don't know about my team tomorrow, playing a team that's lost 4 of the last 5 after we're on a hitter. Oh, I don't know. Show a little confidence. You can't come at me and then go, I don't know.
No, I mean, if you look at the history, young fella.
Sure. You can young fella me all you want. Just have some confidence, Andrew.
Ding, ding.
You will see that they play tremendously close games. And the only thing, if you look at it for Creighton, is Dixon can drag Kalkbrenner out.
That is true.
Which will open up the middle.
Sure. It's a great analysis. But just have a little chutzpah for me, okay? When you come in here talking about my team with a little chutzpah, I prefer you to talk about your team with a little cojones, Andrew, okay?
Matt, here's the question for you.
Sure.
You have too much confidence in your team.
Hey, no, I don't. We just won yesterday. We just won yesterday. We just won yesterday, Andrew, and we won a couple months ago. And we won a couple months ago at the Shy. We got 3 gifts. That's fine. Have a little confidence in your team. You guys are on a roll. Have a little confidence.
Yes.
Yep. Andrew, Enjoy tomorrow at Villanova. Thank you.
Oh, I thought Gary and I were going to go get some breakfast or something while you two just.
I'm just saying,
No,
you can't come in
no.
here firing at me about the Nebraska Cornhuskers and where I went to school and who I'm very proud of, and then go, well, I don't know if they're, my team that's on an absolute heater that's playing their best basketball of the year, taking on a team that's playing their worst basketball of the year. I don't know if they're really going to be able to beat them. Get out of here. Get out of here. It's about principle.
Philly's tough.
So I tried to set the tone of, it's just one game. They won a game. You can have some relief. They needed it. They got it. Doesn't mean anything moving forward. I love that this has now been stoked, that this has turned into a Creighton versus Nebraska, because if Creighton wins tomorrow, I think they'll be ranked.
Well, by the way, it wasn't a Creighton versus Nebraska.
Oh, yeah. I think
yeah,
that
it
was
was.
that
No, no, no.
conversation.
That was
was
an
Creighton
Andrew versus
Nebraska.
Matt. That was an Andrew versus Matt.
Ooh.
Andrew can't come in
Yeah, but
here.
you're representing.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
But you know how I feel about yesterday's win and how I agree with you that it's not necessarily
That was like that little matchup right there was like Rick Johnson against Joe Cipriano.
Nice.
that's a good one.
Joey writes in to the Equitable Bank inbox where
After
they
good
take banking
traffic.
personally. And after Matt's stoking the fire of Creighton, Nebraska, which is fine.
That's all I do. I stoke fires.
Which is fine. I'm sure old man Doug is going to chime in here in a little bit.
I would love. I need
All
to
right,
hear
see,
from
this
old man
is
Doug.
this is. I keep going back to one of the greatest moments on this show. This was before you knew anything about Lincoln, Nebraska. You didn't know where we were at.
Yeah.
When Nebraska and Creighton played in the NCAA tournament, and they were both in San Antonio, that morning was off the chains because people were ready to fight each other. Not the hosts. The hosts were the facilitators.
Yeah.
You
were Feinbaum.
I was John Stockton sitting next to Karl Malone. And we were playing we were playing the Sonics that day.
Yeah.
And people were coming in and then it just became like, for example, and I'm just using this as an example, Andrew is stupid. and then the Creighton fan would call up and they go, that guy Ted, well, must be nice not to have a job.
Yeah.
So
then they both lost.
I would love that. That's why I like doing the Omaha games, because it's kind of
When
like,
you win, everybody wins.
It's a feel-good
Exactly.
story.
It
Everybody
is.
can get behind it.
So
It is.
during the COVID period and the George Floyd movement in this country, and we had moments in this town. There is a famous picture that I don't know if enough people realize because it's been shared
everywhere.
It is
everywhere.
It is the two gang members, the Reds and the Blues, the Crips and the Bloods.
Shut up, Bloods and Crips.
And
shot him out.
And I don't
Jimmy.
know if it's a good thing or not.
Oh,
but
no, you shot him out.
I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but I know one of the guys in the picture. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not.
You know everybody.
But I don't know if I don't brag about that.
They're just people.
I never knew you.
The guy on the left, I know. I don't
He's
bring
actually
that
a
up.
really good guy.
Was he the Crip or the Blood?
He was the Blood.
Ooh, you got the wrong
so
color.
they're at the corner of 120th and Center.
Yeah.
That's what Creighton and Omaha are right now.
The Bloods and the
Sure.
Crips.
Like, you got, hey, Creighton's not in town tomorrow. I bet there's going to be a lot of Creighton fans that bring their trash can and are at the game tomorrow night. So that's why I like doing Omaha, because yes, I have Nebraska.
Yeah.
I respect Creighton, and I like a lot of people that either coach there or work there.
Yeah.
But I'm Omaha. You know what? I know what it's like to be Switzerland, where people are like, oh man, I'd like to visit you.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to invade you, and you're not going to invade us.
No, I'd like to have your strudels
Yeah.
and drink your beers, you know.
Yes.
But I don't want to. I don't want any problems or anything like that. Actually, I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not doing a whole lot this weekend. I'm gonna
Go to the
I'm gonna go
game.
to Switzerland. I'm gonna
Yeah.
chill out. I'm gonna have a
Yes.
good time.
Yes.
Here's the thing. There have been people, because I with you. I respect Creighton. I respect what Coach McDermott has done over there. I respect the fact that they have built that program from, being a non-Power 5 to a Power 5 to a respectable basketball program. But there were people who tweet at me. They were like, Matt, don't become a J-skirt. Don't, guys.
I can't picture that.
Not a J-skirt.
You
But
live closer to the Creighton campus than you do the Lincoln
I
campus.
literally live a walk away,
You live in a dorm. People
Yeah.
don't know that.
basically.
Good way to meet new friends.
But
Hangs out at the McDonald's on 24th and Coming.
I haven't.
You got to go there.
You can, but with the Baxter Arena games that I've been going to, with the I have Summit League Plus now. I even bought a quarter zip. I bought a Maverick quarter zip.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
you can even label me Matt McMavsker.
Nice. That
It's
needs
for
to
you.
that
I'm
needs to be
supporting-
that needs to
I
be
do.
your thing.
I'm blown away. I appreciate it.
You are my friend. You are my dear
I'm
friend.
going to get emotional like
and
John
you,
Cook yesterday.
You are my dear friend, and you do an incredible job broadcasting the game. And they are having an incredible run. And I feel like it was incumbent upon me
Need to win the next 3.
It's incumbent upon me to get on this station and talk about an incredible story. And
Yeah.
so I've invested into this team. I know, man, Josh Street, what a game that he had a pretty good game against South Dakota. It's going to be important that he's grabbing those rebounds and being in the paint when he comes in on off the bench minutes. I'm right there with the Mavs. I'm there.
Matt McMavster. That
Jay
is
Sean Glover.
great.
Jay Sean Glover having a great year.
They didn't play very well Wednesday night, so we're not going to get in love to anybody.
No.
Joey writes in. I'm hard on them, but they got to win their next 3. I mean, they play Denver tomorrow night. Denver had the craziest. So the Summit League is a great conference that nobody talks about unless you're having a trash can promotion, unfortunately. But there's some really good players in this league. South Dakota State was down 15-3 last night in Fargo against North Dakota State, and then they outscored them 70-47. That was a great win by South Dakota State. But they had one of the craziest finishes against Denver and Kansas City last night out in Denver, and Denver is here tomorrow night. It's a 1-point game. And no, it's a 2-point game. And Kansas City leads Denver by 2. And with about 3 seconds to go.
Okay. KC leads Denver by 2, 3 seconds.
Denver is at the line.
Okay.
And they intentionally miss a free throw. And DeAndre Craig, who missed the free throw for Denver, gets his own rebound, lays it up, and got fouled. And that's how they won last night.
Wow.
Yeah. They won at the buzzer on a missed free throw, got his own rebound, laid it up and in.
Is there a better
But that's like the Summit League has those type of games. Like, I mean, Omaha lost on Wednesday, but they were up 15, and it was interesting at the end. And
they had a good first. They played a very good first half.
They have Summit League has like those kind of games more often than not. So I hope people during this run of Omaha, and they're like, oh, okay, let's watch some Omaha basketball. They realize Summit League's good. Let me get to Joey's email here. First off, I didn't have Gavin Griffith love on my bingo card this morning. Dude hasn't earned playing time, so folks, stop it. Thank you. I think they did a good job of squelching Mike's love of Double G. Creighton fan wants to talk about an ugly game. Go rewatch Creighton, Nebraska from back in November, then come holler at me. Here we go. Nebraska showed toughness they hadn't shown in weeks. Don't overanalyze or undervalue last night. Take the W and build from it. Thank you. John writes in. After last night's win, it's so obvious that Nebraska's figured everything out and turned a corner. They're now solidly in the NCAA tournament and will more than likely going to get the first win in program history. And to top it all off, Turner Corcoran is going to be all-conference tackle in 2025. What great times that we live in. Zach would like to respond to Nebraska ball. Mike always sounds like he just climbed 20 flights of stairs and he's about to cry. Creighton Andrew, most nerdy, punchable voice I've heard on air. We have reached a moment today where it's caller on caller crime.
I would love it. This is a cannibalistic radio program, and I'm all here for it.
This is someone that will save us because we don't have a lot of Eric crime. Good morning, E.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hey, I was at the game last night, and I noticed it right away. I think one of the keys to this team, it seems like when Jawan and Bryce mesh well together and they kind of know their roles, the team really, really responds. And seems like during that losing streak, it kind of got out of whack. Like Jawan, I don't know what was going on, but it seemed like Jawan was taking away from Bryce's volume or whatever, and that kind of affected Bryce. That's just from my perspective. Like that's kind of how it looked. But I was curious if like maybe there's something behind the scenes going on there. But it seems like when they play complementary basketball, the rest of the team kind of falls in line. So that was just kind of my observation. And then the second one, you were right about Harburg. Like he was right in front of us during that dunk contest. And that guy's got to be like 250 now. So
yeah,
he's jacked. He is put together.
Yes,
I was impressed.
Yes, Eric, real quick, I want to ask about Harburg. Do you think it was a little like do you think it was more muscle or is it just pure weight on him right now?
It was mass.
Okay, that's good.
He's a big boy.
That's good.
But hey, Keelan Smith, I'm sorry, Smith, Clark. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Clark got robbed. I thought his dunk
yes,
was awesome. He should have been in the final. So
yep. Eric, thanks. Thanks
All
for
right.
the call. Doesn't Bryce Williams mimic Nebraska basketball? Like, he is talented. At sometimes you go, man, he's the best pure scorer in the Big Ten.
Mhm.
And then he'll get on the milk carton. And then actually they will stop serving milk. And so he completely disappears. And then he reemerges. And you're like, oh, I hate milk. Oh God, are they serving me skim milk?
I hate how you say milk.
Oh.
You
And then-
don't
and
like
then-
skim milk?
I'm not a big milk drinker.
Neither
I
am
like
I.
dry
Milk
cereal.
sucks.
I bought a half carton
don't-
of milk, and I think I'm just going to end up. I had one pour of it, and I think I'm just going to end up throwing it away.
Just bring it to work. Put it in the fridge. See how long it stays there.
Yeah, no,
I
maybe
agree
not.
with you. It's a good analogy. It's a really good
why
analogy.
don't while you're at it, also bring some seafood and heat it up in the microwave. That'll endure yourself to the whole building.
Yeah.
With onions.
But he gets on the milk carton, and then they stop. They have like a recall on milk, and it disappears. And then they bring it back, and people are slow to like consume it again.
Yeah.
And then you're like, ooh, that first taste. Once it hits your lips, you're like, oh, it brings back memories of when I was a little kid. And you know what? It might even be chocolate milk.
Ooh.
Which I almost bought chocolate milk the other day.
Me too.
I was at a Hy-Vee, and I was like,
I saw like the Oberweis like chocolate milk in the glass bottle. It's almost like it gives you childhood memories all the way back to the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic. You know, childhood memories.
But you drink the milk and you enjoy it, and you're like, oh, this is what it should taste like. Bryce Williams is like, he mimics Nebraska basketball. Nebraska basketball doesn't have any lead actors. Like, they just announced the Oscars.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have anybody in that category, but they have like a strong supporting actor.
They got like the guy.
And then they have a bunch of grips.
What's his name? He was in. He was the villain in Iron Man. Iron Man 1.
Jimmy?
Iron Man 1, the villain.
I don't remember.
Hammer.
I don't think I've seen that movie in 15 years. I just
Good
remember
actor.
Robert Downey.
Totally forgot, but I know what you're talking about. I know what you're getting.
Good
at.
actor.
He's a good actor, but he's not a lead. You don't see him in leads. Like, he's rarely.
William H. Macy?
No.
That's just my first guess. He's terrific.
I'm just random actors.
Random actors.
to grab.
That was literally
Elliot
that is
Gould?
out of nowhere.
How old are you? Elliot Gould?
What are we talking about? Here, wait. He was in Iron Man 2. I'll get it, and you'll be like, no. That, like, you're right.
If
like,
you say
that's-
Ernest Borgnine, I mean,
No. It's a good one. I'm telling you right now, it's a good one. You're like, yes, exactly. Sam Rockwell.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's a random guy.
Yeah.
But he was
he's
on
good.
the Billboard movie, the 3 billboards outside of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good movie.
But Sam Rockwell is mainly a supporting type dude.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Williams, Sam Rockwell.
Okay.
New nickname.
Still win
Rockwell.
awards, like the great
Oh yeah,
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
He won a supporting.
Always good.
He could
Sam,
be a Josh Hartnett.
Sam Rockwell has a
nice.
supporting actor Oscar.
I'm pretty sure it was in that movie.
Yeah.
3 billboards outside of
Yuma. Oh wait, that's
Yuma?
the 310 to Yuma.
It was in Missouri, not Arizona. What are we doing here?
Here,
we
now-
are horrible
now,
today.
Now I'm on the Sam Rockwell. Now I'm on his IMDb
Hey,
here.
some days it just be like that.
3 billboards outside of Eberflus.
That is not true.
3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Oh, that's why.
Really good movie.
Missouri. But yes,
Never
great
heard of
movie.
Guys, come on.
You should watch it this weekend
Maybe I
before
should.
the
I
game
got-
at 4:30.
It was a great movie.
I should watch it. I'll watch it.
Yeah, you say that a lot. You say, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and you never do this, this, and this. Because you got way too much time. You got too many things on that list. You don't have enough time in the day.
And you have the quad box.
You
so
only
then
have
get busy.
24 hours in the day. You
I
just
know.
don't have enough time.
Mhm.
I'll
You're too
get-
busy. You don't even know if you'll get to Bed Bath & Beyond this weekend. And then if you go to Olive Garden, you're going to wonder, is that
Are we family?
who?
We said when you get to Olive Garden. That's why I wonder. I sit down. I go, "Are we family?" That's exactly what I
Like,
go. Hey guys, when you're here,
sorry, sir, I just
Mm.
work here.
we're family. Isn't it a little awkward if you go on a date to Olive Garden? Because when you're there, you're family.
I don't know that I ever think about that when I go to
Yeah,
Olive
I don't
Garden.
either.
I did
I just
one
want the
Christmas
bread.
Eve eat at Olive
With a
Garden.
girlfriend, you're like,
It'd be my wife.
So it's
okay.
ex-girlfriend.
Well, because we were waiting for somebody to their flight was delayed coming into Fort Myers,
Yeah.
and so yeah.
No,
So
I wouldn't kiss
we-
my
we-
girlfriend at Olive Garden because I'd be like, "That's weird. We're family here."
Do a lot of people kiss at Olive Garden?
I don't know.
I don't remember. The
I'm
last
not
time
a
at Olive
frequent
Garden
visitor
kissing.
of Olive Garden. Maybe we should ask people who've been to Hey, poll question. When you go to Olive Garden,
No, this
do
is
you
not a
kiss?
poll question because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, yesterday's was a banger. This one wouldn't be.
I can think of other restaurants that I would like to suck face in, but not Olive Garden. People still say that?
No, no one says that. No one says
You
suck
should-
face.
You should try it.
Sucking face?
Yeah.
I enjoy
That would be a
sucking
poll
face.
question. Do people still say sucking face?
Do you still say suck face?
Yeah,
Poll
we
question.
were in the back booth at
A Cheesecake Factory.
Cheeseburger in Paradise?
Where is the worst restaurant to suck face at?
McDonald's.
No, I think that's the most appropriate place. Probably somewhere like where there's a lot of garlic and fish, right? Probably like Red Lobster. Would you want to have a lobster lover's dream?
Well,
and then
okay, so
immediately
this
after
is this
suck
is
face
this
in
is
the
how you'd
back?
have to look at this. Like, would people be offended?
If you suck
Like, I
face.
would go in as well. This is
Yeah.
Jimmy's married. I'm
single.
You're single.
Yes.
Okay, so it'd be you.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would send you into like Fleming's.
Oh.
You know, where Fleming's is a place you got to wear pants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shut up.
Pants, and you can't go in there with you like the sleeveless, the hoodie.
Okay.
But like
You can't go Belichick
and you know, it's a place where, you know, it's like it's a good place, and I'm just using that as an example. There are others I could use, but I'm
Sure.
using Fleming's as an example.
Fleming's.
You just go in there and you first of all you side sit. So
Oh, yes.
instead of across from each other, you and your date or girlfriend or wife are sitting next to you, okay, on the same side of the booth. And then you just start going at it. Like you just go tongue deep all the way to her
Yeah.
toenails.
Yeah.
And then you see how people react.
Yeah.
That would be
Do it on a
that would
weekday
be- that would-
afternoon. That'll even go further.
Be
3:30 on a Wednesday.
No, because
lunch
if it
and
was
a show.
If it was a weekday afternoon, I would think that either him or his
friend,
whoever you are sucking face with, they are cheating.
Oh,
Yeah, that would
yeah.
be real
wouldn't even-
discreet, right?
Unless
Who
you're at
eats at
Bonefish.
3:30, by the way.
Oh.
Is 3:30 like the most random time to eat
Oh
anything?
no! You go to Bonefish and it is Silver Slugger happy hour.
Really?
Oh, they are single.
I guess,
they
you
are
know what?
single
That's a good
mingle
point.
and hooking up at Bonefish between 3:30 and 6, because then you can do your business before you got to go to bed at 8.
I'm gonna have to hit a happy hour today.
You should. You should. It's going to be a beautiful day. 51
get a
today,
little
sunny.
get a little pregame in.
Ironically, Fleming's and Bonefish are not very far apart.
no, they're right next to each other. Maybe I hit both.
Whether you want to, you know,
Whether you want to get a happy hour and suck face later, you can go one place to the other.
Meet Matt today at Bonefish.
you got you got the Cougars and you got the Silver Sluggers, and then you got the Cubs. All right, 7:23.
And you got Murphy's.
Coming up, Tim Kruger a little bit later. He'll join us after 8 with the latest bracket. Also, Mike Schaefer stops by.
Heck yeah.
And Matt Verzal on 1620 The Zone.
Underdog is the best place to cash in on all your takes during the playoffs, which those are about done. Which players are going off? Which ones are ice cold? With over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances. With their Underdog's double flex option, you can even take 2 L's and turn them into a W. With their pick'em game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats, yards, touchdowns, interceptions. You get the idea. They've got all your favorite leagues, teams, and charts and stars to choose from. You can create entries with all football picks. There's not much football this weekend. Pro Bowl doesn't count. Or mix and match across your other favorite sports, and they're there for you. All right. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at some college basketball. Maybe I'm looking at this Nebraska-Oregon game. Probably not. Underdog is the best place to play Pick'em. Download the app, sign up with promo code ZONE, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code ZONE. Must be 18 plus, a Nebraskan president of the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
All right, Charles writes in earlier in the program. You asked if I had ever had rattlesnake or python. I think you said, have you ever
Python.
eaten a python?
Yeah.
Not today. But he says if you are ever in Phoenix at Rustler's Roost, you can get fried rattlesnake.
Damn it. I wish I had
Ooh.
known that before I went last year.
Here, he sent a link to it.
Do you think it is like you go to a place that's on the water, they catch the fish, and then they cook it up for you? Do you think at this place in Arizona where there are rattlesnakes in the desert, they catch them and cook them?
They have beignets here. They have a lot of beignets.
They don't
got
kill those in the
brisket,
desert.
Ribs. I'm trying to get down to the.
This one's from Sedona.
So there are some places, and it's technically not legal, but if you know a guy, you can. And by the way, it's not technically not legal. It is not legal whatsoever to do this, but
only in certain states.
Like if you know a guy in a restaurant or whatever, we've done this before where we catch fish on the water in Minnesota, and then we fillet that fish, and then we bring that Minnesota fish to the restaurant, and they batter it up, and then they cook it for us right then and there.
That's
like
nice.
Fresh fish.
Really?
You're technically not supposed.
That seems to be a little
do
health
that.
concern, but
But do you think it's probably the same way in Arizona? You kill your own python. You
Bring
get
your
to
own snake.
Bring your own
Yeah.
snake. You get to bring it in. You put it right on the table. They fillet it for you right in front of you. Chop it up.
yeah, I don't think if you just walk in with it like around your neck.
Hey,
like,
nice
if it's
necklace,
not,
bro.
If it's not like skinned and gutted.
Did you see Gruden? He had a big old snake over his shoulders, and he was holding it up, and he was just like, it was the most awkward thing ever, and it was so funny. But it was Gruden, so it was funny.
Did he take a picture then and send it to an email?
Yeah, he didn't.
to somebody with the
No,
Raiders.
he didn't. Yeah, he didn't email anyone.
It wasn't Jake Plummer, was it?
No, it wasn't.
It's a different snake.
Okay, small world. This is from Bob. He goes, he goes, I have a recipe. I've only had it and made it twice. It's called planked rattlesnake.
Okay, give it to me.
First, you take your snake and you gut it and skin it.
Okay.
Then you marinate it overnight in a mixture of buttermilk, thyme, oregano, salt, and black pepper.
Okay.
Then you soak a cedar plank in water for about 10 minutes, dry the plank off, then put the marinated snake on top and bake it in the oven for 30 minutes at 375 degrees. Once it's finished cooking, you take it out of the oven, throw away the snake, and eat the cedar plank. He said, bon appetit.
I thought I was going to ask what the benefit of baking it on the cedar plank was. I was like, how does that add any flavor to that rattlesnake other than like the portion which it's sitting on? But then attaboy. That was a good one, Mike. That was
Jim
a good
says about side sitting. I watched The French Connection last night and was thrown by these two guys that were side sitting. So everybody knows what side sitting is, right?
I've never done that before with
Yeah, you're a little bit young in your career.
Yeah.
But
But
as
you'll get there.
But as you get a little bit older, like you gotta get some love in the air.
You know what's funny?
You go to Bonefish tonight.
I go, I've never side sat before, but now I realize I side sit every single day for a living, 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of side
That's
sitting.
what we're doing. I mean, we are parallel right now to each other.
Talking about triangles now?
Nope.
Angles?
It's just lines, Jimmy. Lines.
Oh, no.
Lines.
No. Anything math, I'm out.
I am completely out on side sitting in a restaurant.
With a significant other? Or...
Well, so Rach knows that this bugs me.
Yeah.
And so she goes, let's side sit. And I'm like, hell no. Hell no. We are not sitting on the same side of the booth.
Shout out
I
Rachel.
will stare glowingly into your eyes.
Yeah.
But I am not sitting next to you. That's why I've never bought a truck. I don't want somebody sitting right there.
Yeah.
Right in the middle.
Yeah. Well, you don't, I mean,
Okay.
not all, I don't think all trucks. I'm assuming not all trucks.
Oh,
so-
no.
Or is it all trucks?
The truck guys that I know.
Yeah. They
that
got to have that third
that
in the
have
middle.
dirt on the boots and work in the field.
Yeah.
Nice truck.
They have the significant other that likes to sit right there.
Just
Yeah.
like Bud and Sissy.
See, my thing is that if I were to have a significant other and we were side sitting and we were eating with my parents or her parents, I would feel like it's a
Especially if you were side sitting with her mom.
no. But if I was
Like you requested
if
it.
I was sitting here and then she was here and then we have the two parents right here, right? I would feel like it would be an interrogation.
Well,
you
it's a
know?
little bit different though because it's just two people at a booth.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
this
that
is-
one would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would be awkward if you wanted to sit next to her mom while she sat on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would think that maybe you're trying to
No, I
maybe
don't
you
think that. You
chose
think it
the-
would be
the
awkward if I
wrong-
was
I
sitting?
want the
but
older
would-
version
but
of
I would
her.
angle myself where I'm split. I'm split here, and so I got one eye here, and I got one eye here, and I got the forehead right to the dad, intimidating him a little bit, trying to be like,
I'm
you
sure
know,
he'll be intimidated.
depending on the dad.
Hey, I wouldn't try that move.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I think I wouldn't
I know.
go with intimidation. I would just go suave.
With respect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Charm
With a
them.
little je ne sais quoi, if you will.
Yeah.
Low gravitas,
A lot of big words.
low class.
All right. So apparently here I'm getting reaction that I'm wrong on side sitting.
Okay.
You're not wrong on side sitting. If I were alone with someone and we were to go to lunch and we side sat together, no, absolutely not.
a work thing you're going to tonight. You can side sit with
No.
someone.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there'll be booths.
That'll be fun.
Great meal.
I hope. I'll be at Bonefish having a little happy hour beforehand.
You might be too young. Silver Slugger happy hour at Bonefish, because I've seen it from afar. It is bumping like probably about 4 to 6 in between there. It's like speed dating with your Social Security account.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're trying to go, hey, this is how much I'm getting a month.
I saw James Taylor in '73.
I like old people. I would enjoy that.
Shout out old people.
Why can't we just like
people?
Most people.
No, because young people.
Why do they have to be old?
I'm just saying that.
I'm old.
Young people annoy
Jimmy's
me
old.
way more than old people.
Because we are veterans, we are savvy, we have knowledge,
Yes.
and we have the keys to everything.
Exactly.
You young whippersnappers,
You have all the answers.
people think you're ruining the world.
You know better.
Yes,
because they are.
You are the best.
Keep telling yourself that, and
Good things will
down the
happen.
road you'll become one of us.
Yeah. Just bow the head, and then take over.
Are you guys ready for a tribute to John Cook?
Yes.
So, last night, if it always, I guess I shouldn't be surprised by this because not everybody gets us around here.
Sure.
In this state, we love our sports.
Absolutely.
I mean, we support our sports, whether they are playing at the Iowa West Fieldhouse on an AAU weekend, or they're playing in our high school gyms or our colleges, or even the pro teams we have around here. We just love sports in this state. It kind of takes me back still, not as much. It doesn't bug me as much because I then get to a chance to explain it. But last night, and everything that's happened in the last 48 hours concerning John Cook. And John Cook had an amazing presser yesterday. He won it. I'm glad that he got emotional because I've talked about this. You know what Nebraska means to him.
Mm-hmm.
And if it didn't mean anything to him, it would be a very dry press conference. But he was really, really good. So last night, they bring him out to midcourt, and Troy Dannon gives him basically a portrait of the tweet that Nebraska put out when they announced that he was retiring. And
was really
cool. John's cool. John's about the coolest 68-year-old guy I know. And then they announced Danny Busboom Kelly, and there was a monster pop. And if you don't get Nebraska volleyball, you're probably like, oh, if you're the coach and you're walking out and you're like, oh, she gets it. Okay, she's been here. It's not for everyone, but you have to understand it. But the people that that either were there that don't know Nebraska or don't pay attention to Nebraska volleyball, they just follow football and basketball, or people that are watching it from afar, they always make a comment like, oh, so Nebraska volleyball is a big deal. I'm like, yeah, they're a national championship program. Yeah, they're a big deal. They're about to expand John Cook Arena. Wait a minute. Sorry. To 10,000 seats. Did I say something I'm not supposed to say there?
Maybe.
Bob Devaney Sports Center at John Cook Arena on Terry Pettit Court.
Heck yeah.
In
Oh
Lincoln,
my God,
Nebraska.
I love that. Oh, I love that. It's like a turducken.
But do you guys get the same thing of people are so surprised that and I think some people are like, oh, okay, I don't have a school that has a good volleyball program, or they're just knobs and they're like, oh, you guys are big fans of female sports. Do you get that? Like people are like, I don't get you guys how you love volleyball in that state from Creighton to Omaha, Nebraska. I just don't get it.
People have hurled because, I got friends who we love to talk crap to each other. I mean, that's just friends, right? We go back and forth. We're talking about football, basketball, whatever. And I've gotten the insult hurled at me. By the way, insult, air quotations, insult. Oh, yeah. well, you guys are a volleyball school. And I go, damn right we are.
They're really good. It's
Damn right we are.
nothing
What do
to
you
be
mean?
ashamed
What do you mean?
of.
We go to Final Fours every year. We win national championships. We have high standards. We got the best recruits. We have the best coach in the country.
They're expanding.
Damn
the
right we're a
arena.
volleyball school. We love I love going to, I've been to games. It's been some of the greatest. If you were to tell me what are my top 5 moments, just period, moments that happened in college, Matt, what are your 5 favorite things that happened in college? 2 of them revolve around volleyball. 2 of them are volleyball events. Okay. So yeah, it's taken seriously here because we have the best and we are, in terms of the standard, we just commit and we do it. And it's not just the coaches and it's not just the recruiting. It's not just the athletes. It's the fans and it's the dedication and it's the want to go to games and it's the passion, and everyone should be proud about it and everyone should know about it. So yeah, when someone says, oh, I didn't know that volleyball was a big deal here, you just go, yeah, it is, man.
Yeah,
it is.
You brag too.
You can brag about it. You should be proud of it because that's the work that's been done by everyone involved in that program.
Look at last night. The 2 biggest pops in that building were Bryce Williams' dunk, which pretty damn impressive. He should have been in the halftime dunk contest. And then when they announced, John Cook and Danny Busboom Kelly. Like Danny Busboom Kelly got a huge response last night. And I think you have to get it to realize that people she's not going to need a honeymoon. She's going to be successful. But to understand that everybody knows who you are, because I imagine in Louisville, it picked up a little bit more with their success that people are like, that's the volleyball coach. But it's still a basketball town where, the basketball coach probably is more recognizable than the volleyball coach. But here, the volleyball coach is a big deal. I mean, look at yesterday. One other thing on the John Cook presser. I don't know if, and I know you and I had about the same response. The one thing I could appreciate about John watching him yesterday, damn, it was a little dusty in the room.
It was.
But I could tell that as he was talking through it, the one thing that I think is important, and granted, this was the day after it became public, and we don't know what the offseason will be like or once they ratchet it up in August. I don't think he has any regrets.
No.
Like he didn't wishy-wash. Like he's thought this through, that this was time. And so there were no regrets, because we've seen people in sports that'll retire, then they try and unretire. But you can tell on their goodbye press conference where it gets emotional and they thank everybody in their life. You're like, I don't know if they think they're retired. I don't know if they're ready to be retired.
So yesterday's speech was the next greatest retirement speech that I've seen since Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning had an incredible retirement speech. And you knew when he was talking, it was it. There was no regrets. There was no line in the sand. There was no doubt that he was done. And man, he was damn proud. He was damn proud of what he did. You can tell when John Cook was talking that not only was he damn proud of what he accomplished at Nebraska, but it was time. And there was no tone of voice or words said that maybe there's an inkling in his head that this isn't the end. No, this is it. And man, Gary, you hit it right on the head. You said yesterday, I would love someone to ask if 25 years, him retiring after 25 years, has anything to do with Tom Osborne retiring after 25 years. No one had to ask. He said it right then and there. Coach Osborne is my greatest mentor, one of my greatest mentors, and he retired after 25 years. I'm retiring after 25 years. Kudos to you calling that out. I mean, it was clearly emotional, and man, you can tell the biggest thing for him was leave it in a good spot.
Yeah.
Leave it in a good spot. Don't fade out, burn out. Give everything that you possibly can. And at that press conference, you can tell just from his heart, he knew I left this in a good spot. And what hit me the most was we're not in a great spot because we have a great team or we're a talented team or we're a team that can end up winning a national championship next year. Mm-hmm. This is in a great spot because the team had a 5-minute meeting, huddled up, and said, this is how we're going to support our next coach. So it was an incredible speech, and it's an incredible coach, and it's an incredible program.
The TO, because I was in the room, it was because it was in December that they hastily called a press conference I mean,
Schools were watching it on TV.
Yeah.
My wife said they put it on in her classroom.
the one thing about T.O., like you never, it was so weird because Tom Osborne was Tom Osborne. He was this stoic figure who never blinked, even with adversity back in 95 and taking slings and arrows from all over the place. He was like strong.
Mm-hmm.
I will never forget that day in the old South Stadium in that little room where they had the press conference because he became emotional. Like he became teary-eyed. And
which wasn't like him.
And so there were people in the room, and we weren't there yesterday, so I don't know if other people got choked up that were in the room. There were media back in 97 that, because you had never seen, like we had seen John Cook show some emotion. We had never seen T.O. show emotion where he cried or he got tears in his eyes.
It'd be like Tom Landry, stoic.
There were media, yes. There were media in that room that once they saw this stoic, strong-jawed figure who never blinked, got teary-eyed. I remember there were a few media that they like started to tear up.
Yeah,
Not because there were staff members and players that were, they were going through it.
Yeah.
But there were media that got teary-eyed.
Well, you guys knew him. So you had so many conversations with him and knew him as one person. So suddenly you see this and he looks like, wait, he's human? Yeah. He's just like us.
I don't
get you.
So back to your Peyton Manning. I'm trying to think of other sports retirement pressers where I remember. Probably the most famous is Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was in 91.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, we're still 34 years later, and Magic Johnson's still with us. But that was the shock of all shocks. But then you remember the ones that are just tons of emotion, but they are on their brand, like Jason Kelce when he retired. Remember what he was wearing? He was basically wearing what he was going to lift weights in the facility.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
He was on the red carpet one time, and he goes, Kylie, why, after taking care of 2 kids, could you not bring me my jeans? My fancy jeans. Man, I love that. I mean, that Peyton Manning. I'm trying to think of 2. I can't really think that. That's the first one. The Peyton Manning speech is the first one where it's like, treat a man as he is, he'll remain as he is. Treat a man as he can be, and he will become what he should be. I will never forget that. Like that's a great quote, from that. Or at the end, like he quotes like, a Bible verse, and he's like, "I fought the good fight, I finished the race, I've kept the faith." Like those, like I watch that speech all the time because it's like an inspirational type deal. Seriously, with like John Cook, it was one of those things where it's like, man, you're watching it and you feel the emotion. It's almost as if his emotions become contagious toward your emotions, and he's sad that he's going, and because you're feeling, not he's sad, not that he's sad, but he's proud. He's sad and he's proud, and you can kind of feel that, and it relates to you as well. It was such a, you call it. I don't love the cliche. He won the press conference or he won the day, but he won it. I mean, he was absolutely incredible, and no surprise whatsoever.
Mike says Brett Favre when he retired in 2008. Now,
but that one
there's stuff about Brett Favre.
That was a
but
little Mars.
His Canton speech was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I fully remember when he retired in 2008.
I can tell you good, like Ray Lewis's Canton speech was great. Like that was good.
I remember Aikman's retirement was
Ray Lewis's speech to the prosecutors in Atlanta was pretty good, apparently.
Yeah, got the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Romo didn't Tony Romo have a pretty emotional retirement press conference?
I don't remember.
Or was his retirement press conference like in the middle of the season?
No, it was after because
he
played the last game of
through
the
season.
Yeah,
he did.
But didn't he have one in the middle of the year where it was like, this is over, and he got really emotional?
And
it was his weekly visit with the media.
Yeah, he's just running out the clock.
I'm trying to think of
because he got hurt in the preseason, and rookie Dak took over, and that was it for Tony.
I mean, how many though athletes really get the red carpet press conference retirement experience? It's really not that many. It's very few and far between. It's a little bit like wrestling. Like in wrestling, like not too many guys get to go out at at WrestleMania and have their last match, and they call it the last match. Like,
so you think the Undertaker should have had a retirement press conference?
No, but
I wish he would have.
I wish, and I would have.
Actually, I wish he would continue to wrestle.
Me too. But like, not too many athletes in general really get a, hey, they're retiring.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. Here you go. Here's the microphone. Here's the podium. Go ahead and talk about your experiences, right? Like Jason, that's a good one. That's a great shot. Jason Kelsey. I listened to that one when that happened. That was a really, really emotional one.
Matt tweets at the Gary Sharp 1620. Great press conference, but could someone have given him a Kleenex?
Yeah, I know. He had a cold, but didn't it look like his nose was a little
going
red?
Around,
maybe?
man.
It is going around.
No, I got the cold.
Yeah.
I got a half cold last week. It was tough.
There is no such thing as a half cold. I looked it up on WebMD.
It's a full
liar. I know he was shaking hands after that. Hashtag germs. So, like,
it's him in the chat. Great job, Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig.
Yeah, I guess that's the standard.
Yeah, that is the gold.
But
standard.
are there going to be like a lot of media members? Like, is Chattel and Amy Just all of a sudden going to have a cold?
Probably.
Other media members that
Super
were in there?
spreader.
Yeah.
Oh, that one. Hey, what's John Cook's legacy? Well, his retirement press conference, he was a super spreader.
He gave everyone a cold.
He gave everybody smallpox, actually.
You guys like the idea of John Cook Arena?
I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
I absolutely love it.
So you're not.
It's a turducken. It's a turducken.
You're not doing anything with the Devaney Center.
No.
So it'll always be the Bob Devaney Sports Center. But what about John Cook Arena and the Huskers play on Terry Pettit Court?
Love it.
That rolls right off your tongue, right?
Yeah.
You honor the two goats of the history of your program?
It's a duck inside of a chicken inside of a turkey. You call it turducken, and you cut it right down the middle.
Tim Kruger is going to join us here in about 15 minutes with his latest bracket because I don't know if you guys know this or not. Beginning tomorrow is the last month of the regular season for college basketball.
Good man. Well, is it because there's some regular season games in early March, isn't there?
But not the full month.
Not the full month.
We got March Madness. March Madness about, actually, Sunday is 6 weeks from Selection Sunday.
Love that.
It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Yeah. Royal Rumble in Indianapolis.
Time to play the game.
This has always got some run as a song to be played in Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
They play this at Royals
Motorhead,
games.
man. Nothing better than Motorhead.
Ah, Lemmy.
What a band.
So you can watch the Royal Rumble this weekend. You taking a little basketball. This is the first weekend since August without football.
Oh,
yeah.
Tough.
Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, whatever that crap is that's called the Pro Bowl, where people don't know what they're doing. It's become a joke. I know people watch, but first weekend without football. So maybe introduce yourself to your family.
Yeah.
Maybe a little basketball. We're going to give you a chance to win 4 tickets to Omaha, Denver tomorrow night at Baxter Arena in the next hour.
Royal Rumble on one screen, UConn Marquette on the other.
Yeah, the slate's pretty good.
Yeah.
ESPN's trying to shove Duke, North Carolina down our throat. The bottom line is North Carolina under Hubert Davis has spent more time outside of the top 25 than inside of the top 25. Do what you will with that. Indiana Purdue play tonight. But this is not a bad college basketball weekend.
No, not at all. And we got there's another good game that's on that's raced my head. But I looked at the slate this morning. I thought, I'm excited. College basketball, man. It's last 2 weeks.
Matt sold me on it.
Last 2 weeks, I'm telling you, I've just sat down starting at 6:30 and I just put on all the games I can and I watch them. And I've been having great nights. Great nights.
6 weeks from Sunday, we will have a bracket for the first time this year in bracket season. We have Tim Kruger. He'll join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right. Can you feel it?
Can you feel it?
Kim Mulkey is starting to crank it up. She knows that Selection Sunday is around the corner.
She's going to see her shadow.
ESPN is trying to create some juice for Duke, North Carolina. And that means that it's almost bracket season. It's always bracket season in this guest's eyes. Tim Kruger, for the first time this year, joins us. 6 weeks from Sunday is Selection Sunday. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well, Gary. How about you?
Good, Tim. Now, before we get deep into this, and we've had you on for many years to break down the bracket and your thoughts on how it's going to work, and you're one of the top bracketologists around. People already know this, but I want you to share it with a larger audience. You have partnered with Dave Oman, who you've talked about many times. You guys are on Bracketville. This is exciting for you. What has this done for your world in something that you love doing?
Yeah, Dave's the best in business. The site he's created is just tremendous. If you are interested in bracketology on a daily basis, this site you got to go to. I mean, the stuff Dave does, he's got so much going on, and now one of his most popular features, the Building the Bracket, where he's got every team from every conference that's in the hunt, what they have to do, and so on and so forth. That debuts tomorrow. Frankly, I don't know how he gets it all together, but he does, and it's a fantastic read. We've got daily updates. We update the previous night's results, like last night. I'm sure it was a late night for a lot of people, but we update those, and then brackets twice a week on Tuesday and Friday. And then later today, we have a subscriber feature. It's free to sign up. You get notifications when anything comes out, but for subscribers only later today, we're going to have our first consensus bracket where I'm going to jump into this right after I'm off the phone with you guys and put together a bracket, taking our two brackets together. And then I can't forget about the new feature, the new metric we've developed, called the BV ratings, and those come out every Monday. It's a results-based metric. It simply looks at the schedule you have. How did you do? There's no Ken Pom, there's no Torvik, there's none of that. This is just a result-based, and the results every week are pretty interesting, except this year, guess who's on top? Yeah, Auburn.
Yeah, to no one's surprise. Tim, Matt here. I want to thank you so much for coming on. It's great to meet you, and absolutely love talking about this type of stuff. I don't know if you have your bracket in front of you, but let's go back in time. I take the bracket that you currently have in front of you right now, and I give it to Tim from, in November. Okay. So I take the bracket now, I give it to in November. November, what would you be surprised about looking at your current bracket?
Well, Auburn would be number one. I don't think anybody had them, the number one overall team in the country. Dave and I were talking yesterday, and I mean, they could probably survive 2 losses and still be the number one overall.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I've never seen, in all my years of doing this, I've never seen a resume like this, especially this late in the game, where they are number one in every result-based metric and 2 or 3 in every predictive metric. Usually you get one strong in one and maybe not quite as strong in the other. They're dominant. I mean, they've got 12 quad one wins. Jesus. And it's just not, people say, well, SEC, but they've got 5 quad one non-conference, 4 actually. 4 wins. They're 4-1 in the non-conference of quad 1A. So just an overall dominating performance by Auburn so far, and they just keep rolling along. Probably on the other flip side would be North Carolina, struggling as much as they are. Yeah.
Are we, so as we're going to transition into February, is it a general consensus going into February that Auburn, Duke, Alabama, Iowa State are the 4-1 seeds right now?
Yeah, the reveal's coming in a couple of weeks here, and it's going to be pretty easy to nail those. Although I think the gap has closed a little bit with that, Love 2/3 quarter shot that he threw in the other night that sent the game into overtime and eventually let Arizona win. And by the way, also screwed up anybody who had the under in that game.
Yeah. I see what you did there, too.
Talk about a bad beat. And that's why you foul. I mean, I don't care if he's that far out. I think players nowadays are getting so good at making those shots. They shoot them in practice all the time, and that's why I would have fouled being up 3, but that's just me. The gap is closed there because of that Iowa State loss. However, then Tennessee has kind of gone into a little bit of a tailspin too. So then they would have been the next team in. So now you're really looking at Florida as that next team challenging for that number 1 seed. They would be the one team right now that could get in. I don't see a lot of love. Oddly enough, I think their team is awesome. I think they're clearly the best team in the Big East, and I think their resume is really good, but computers don't love them, and that's Marquette. I think when I talk to other bracketologists, they don't have a lot of love for moving Marquette anywhere near the 1 line. Houston is the other team. They're undefeated in the Big 12, and as they keep winning, they didn't have much in the non-conference, but they're another team that could challenge. Certainly and then you've got Michigan State. If they keep rolling along through the Big 10, they would be another team that would be in line at the 1. But right now, it's pretty solid. Auburn 1. The Duke-Alabama thing is very close for 2 and 3 right now. Some have already moved Alabama ahead of Duke, but that's close. Then I think there's a little bit of a gap. Then it's Iowa State. Then a very small gap to Florida.
Tim, let's go from the front part of the bracket to the back part of the bracket to the 12 through 16 seeds. Your 1 bid conference winner qualifiers in that area from 12 to 16. Who do you think is that potential Cinderella story, upset, massive run coming from a smaller conference right now?
Well, they're actually 11th seed right now because we have 1 extra seed in there. But Drake, certainly, now that they moved back to the top of the valley. And can I just get this out there, Gary, because I know you're going to bring this up.
Yeah.
It just worked out that way, okay? I got Drake in West Virginia in the first round. And actually, I did not have them that way, but some of these brackets just fall together so easily. A lot of them are at work, and then you have those few every year. And last night was one that was just a disaster from start to finish, where you had matchups all over the board. You had to move teams and so forth. So, but Drake would be a team. UC Irvine and McNeese are both really good basketball teams. I would not want to see them in the first round.
Well, and I think, UC Irvine could be an 11, McNeese could be a 12, and that's saying a lot out of those conferences. Speaking of conferences, let's talk about the Big East, because this is your wheelhouse, of course, Creighton being your wheelhouse. It's a conference that there are days where I think they're only going to get 4, and then I look at the game on Wednesday night, and I'm like, I agree with Mac. Xavier's could be an NCAA team, but they'd be like a play-in team going to Dayton. Thoughts on the Big East? Is this a 4 or 5? You've already referenced little love, kind of weird love for Marquette. And then where do you have Creighton, who is starting to rise through their month of January?
Weird love?
Well, well, Marquette's a frustrating team because I watch them, and looking at their personnel, I'm like, they're good. And then I'm like, God, they're like the Chiefs. They don't blow people out.
Yeah.
They're not like the Cobra.
They haven't lately.
Yeah, they're not. They just kind of like there's a boa constrictor.
Yeah, I think that's just when Cam Jones hasn't shot the ball. He's starting to shoot the ball a little better again. I mean, I think it just boils down to that. When he's hitting his shots, they're really hard to handle. Well, let's get this out there. So, as was documented over this week when Creighton played Xavier, Xavier now has 1 game left against the top 4, and that's Creighton goes to Cincinnati later on. Other than that, they're done. They just play all the teams below there. So you see them sitting there at 6 losses, and that might be where they end up. They could easily run the table here. The problem is their resume is not, it doesn't jump out at you.
Mm-hmm.
So going into that game on Wednesday, some people had them as last team in, some team had first team out. So they slipped just a little bit. But yeah, that would be the team that could make the league a 5-team league. UConn, without McNeely, they're just, to me, they're in with Xavier. Villanova. I mean, nothing surprises me when I see them lose a game to a team like that without McNeely. They really. It's amazing how much they depend on a freshman.
Yep.
Creighton's playing probably the best basketball of anybody right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is like Max said, a huge 6-game stretch here, and they've got one down, and now they go on the road for 2. They go to a place, that they get to finally maybe they'll see him one more time, but see Eric Dixon one more time. I like the game plan they had last time, though, even though he still went off and got his points, throwing Jason Green on him. That Green is long enough and is quick enough to stay with him and still has the size to kind of body him, and that leaves Kalkbrenner free to do what he does. The Jays have this big stretch here now. They got to go at Villanova, which will be still a very good win. They'll have to go to Providence, a team that's starting to fade, especially with the word that Hopkins will not be back this year. And then the 3 big ones. They got Marquette at home, UConn at home, and then at St. John's. So they've got 5 there. If they go 4-1 in that stretch in any way, shape, or form, they're going to be in awesome shape.
Tim, I'll give you a
St.
number.
John's.
Oh, sorry, Tim.
St. John's is the interesting one, right? I mean, they've got the gaudy record. If you watch the first half of the Georgetown game, you'd say, wow, this is one of the top teams in the country. Other than that, I just don't think they're very good. I just don't think they're that talented.
Okay.
I mean, you look at their resume, they really haven't beaten anybody. They, too, have not played anybody. That's the thing. Creighton's played all the other teams. UConn and Marquette are teeing it up tomorrow night, and then now they get into a cycle where Marquette goes UConn, St. John's, Creighton. So they've got a murderer's row coming up. So we're going to kind of find out. I liken St. John's to if St. John's and A&M played, you could switch jerseys, and that would be the game. It would basically be a football game.
Yep.
A lot of athleticism, but not pure basketball talent, and that's where St. John's really has trouble scoring sometimes. And you saw that against Creighton as well. So, they're going to make the tournament. Don't get me wrong, but I think 4 to 5 teams.
What's Creighton's ceiling on a seed? Because they're 7, 8, 9 right now.
Yep.
Do they have a ceiling?
They could get a protected, but they'd have to win the Big East.
Mm-hmm.
Which would entail they've got 1, 2, 3 games against the top guys, right? And you throw in Xavier to make that 4. They'd have to go 3-1 in that of those 4 games, and then take care of business everywhere else. And they can maybe even afford a loss to somebody like Villanova on the road. But after that, they've got Butler, DePaul, Seton Hall. I mean, there's just no chance for a loss there. So. I would think 4, because right now, all of a sudden, and I'm glad you brought that up, all of a sudden, like in last night's bracket, another issue with this iteration is you had plenty of choices to move up to the 4 line when somebody got knocked off. All of a sudden, you look and you're like, I just don't have another team to move up, and I settled on Illinois. I'm not happy with it, but there's nobody else. I mean, Mississippi State is clearly not as good as some of the Big Ten teams or Ole Miss. I don't love having Memphis in a 4, but their resume would say they need to be there. So, until UCLA and Arizona garner more wins, and then I guess the one team you might look at, but I just don't think overall, because of their conference, would be Louisville. But I don't think they're going to get enough to get into 4. So Creighton could slip into that section.
Tim, you talked about Louisville. Perfect segue to this question. How are you analyzing the ACC right now? It seems like Duke is the top of the class, but then after that, you got Louisville, and then there's a fall off. How are you kind of just evaluating that conference?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there, Duke, and then I would throw Clemson in there. Clemson's had a sneaky good season. Not a lot of people talking about them, but they're right there as well. Yeah, I don't have any trust factor in Pittsburgh or North Carolina. North Carolina, brutal schedule.
Yeah.
And I've got them last team in right now just because I don't think they can put like Arizona State over them.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly Nebraska's gotten back into the mix though. So they're a possibility because they have some high quality wins. Even though they're playing Duke, and you would normally say, well, they're playing Duke. Okay, that's not a bad loss. I think I will, if Nebraska, my bracket next Tuesday, so if Nebraska could somehow beat Oregon, I think they would definitely move ahead of North Carolina.
So let's talk about, so they got a big win last night. That looks good on the resume. Our good friend Bart has them at 41 today. Our good friend Netter has them at 62. Our good friend Ken has them at 46. It feels like they're going to live in the world of last, first, and next. What's your thoughts on their resume right now? Because they still have plenty of Q1 opportunities ahead of them.
Yeah. This West Coast trip comes at really a horrible time, right? Like,
why?
Just because it's a tough trip.
Oh.
I mean, I don't care what Mick Cronin says. It's not easy, and plus they're out there forever. I mean, they have a game Sunday and then a game Wednesday. So, and if you haven't played, Nebraska's probably never played at Washington. There's nights you got to bring your own energy there,
Yeah.
and that could be that. I think that's going to be a little bit of a shocker to Big Ten teams who are used to going on the road, seeing full packed houses, and so yeah, they're dangerous to lose out. And obviously, Oregon's, wow, I saw them in Vegas for 3 days and just thought, man, this team is something. And now they look like a shell of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not going to be easy because Dana's going to have them fired up, ready to go. So yeah, it would have been better if they gone on the road to play Wisconsin or Iowa or whoever. I mean, rather than have to take this long road trip right after getting things right again. But let's see what happens. Certainly, they're benefiting by the fact that the bubble's gotten much weaker here lately. I mean, you go down, and that's why I left the bubble the way it is on my bracket today, because there's just really nobody else to put in there at this point. Xavier, as we talked about, Arizona State and BYU both need big victories that they don't have on their resume. Indiana is certainly not there yet. And then you're getting down into you're going all the way back down to somebody like Boise State, so there's just not a lot to pick from. So Nebraska's an excellent opportunity.
Tim, I'm going to give you a number here, and then you tell me over or under. 3.5 Big Ten teams that make it to the second weekend.
3.5?
Yeah.
One, Wisconsin for sure. They always do. Dana Altman in a tournament, wouldn't bet against him.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3. Yeah, I'd say over.
Okay.
I'd say over. Yeah, it'll depend on the matchups, like it always does. But yeah, I would say over the 3.5. Like you're not going to let Gary, you're not going to let me go a whole segment without talking about Omaha here, are you?
We're going to finish with that.
Of course we are.
I was going to say though, is there so you go over? You're going to go over 3.5, but is that? I mean, do you think there's an alpha of the conference like established in the Big Ten? I mean, do you think Michigan State is that alpha, or is it still of just you never know week to week? Because it seems like we have one best team in the Big Ten, and then a couple weeks later, it kind of flips on its head a little bit.
Well, the question, concerning your first question,
sure,
they're kind of contradictory, because I would say Purdue's the best team, but
okay,
they have a long history of not getting to the second week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Yeah.
But I would think, I would guess Michigan State, but like I said, I think Purdue's probably the best team.
Okay.
Illinois, and I just, when you start believing in Wisconsin a little bit, I still think Wisconsin's right there. Probably 3. Illinois, Oregon, like we talked about their problems. It was pretty amazing. In 19 days, Nebraska went from being, to show you how things are changing in the Big Ten. They went from being like a 9 seed, and 19 days later, not making their conference tournament.
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, that's, I think around the country, people don't realize that not everybody's going to make it this year. So
sure,
you've got teams that could drop down in there that were, are fighting. But now it seems like the Purdue or the Penn States of the world are dropping down. But then Minnesota's starting to play better. So, who knows?
Yeah. All right, let's finish with this, because you could be the president, if you'd like to, of the Blue Ricks, the Creighton fans that are rooting for Omaha. So it's an interesting discussion because it's cool to see Omaha, which you don't normally see on February 1, that are in brackets, but it's a one-bid league, and whoever gets hot in Sioux Falls. So I kind of take it with a grain of salt. But let's say it is Omaha. Is their ceiling a trip to Dayton in the 16 play-in game?
No.
Okay.
No. Before they lost, I looked hard at it, and they were right there on the edge of the 15 line.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one thing they have that other teams don't now, again, the committee sometimes doesn't drill down on these AQs when you get down to 15, 16. But when you pair them up against like teams on the 15 line and 16 line, those other teams don't have 3 victories over the 100, 113, 109 team. They don't have victories like that. So Omaha has the best victories. So if they can accumulate a few more of those and keep winning. But again, like you said, I hate to say this, but this kind of has like a feel of they're going to win the conference, and then then now the pressure builds, right? You get into the conference tournament, and then somebody like South Dakota State or whoever comes along and knocks them off. But yeah, no, I think they definitely have a chance. And I think what we're seeing in the Summit, and I've said this for like 2 years, you better get them now, because once the St. Thomas train gets rolling, they're going to be, with the money they have, they're going to be tough to handle.
Yep, they got a new arena coming next year. I keep saying this, in about 10, 15 years, because of the money they have, the location, they will be a very, very enticing product to the Big East. But we don't know what athletics will look like. But I'm with you. We've been on the same page about the future of St. Thomas, which also could really be a mess because they can't go to the NCAA tournament, but they can win the regular season and they can win the conference tournament as well.
Yeah. I know. That happened a couple of years ago to somebody in the
Bellarmine, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, when you're speaking of conferences, the Valley, that was the one I always thought the Valley should have jumped on them. They've been perfect for football. They would have worked out the whole thing, and they for whatever reason don't think that fits their footprint. But places in Tennessee and Chicago do. I don't get it. But
hey, we will do this every Friday. Look forward to it. I'm really happy that you paired with Dave. You guys are churning out some great stuff at Brackettville.
Yeah, we're really excited about it, and check out all the stuff we got coming this weekend.
Fantastic stuff. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, you bet.
TK Brackets, of course, Blue
Love
Jay
it.
Banter on the podcast as well. Brackettville.
I subscribed.
Yeah?
I did. I just signed up for it. They got incredible content. I mean, if you are a college basketball person, if you love college basketball, the content that they're printing out there at Brackettville, it seems almost every day here. It's good stuff. Really good stuff.
So Tim will join us every Friday.
Can't wait.
If you're living on last, first, and next lane as a Nebraska basketball fan, you are a big fan of Purdue tonight because
Yes.
Indiana plays in West Lafayette, and Indiana and Nebraska, even though Nebraska does have a win over Indiana, Indiana and Nebraska are kind of on the same line.
Yeah.
So you're rooting for Purdue tonight. You're like, you know what? I don't care. You guys fired Ryan Walters. I'm a big fan of Purdue.
Isn't this the dance right here?
The student section?
Yeah.
Are you doing the Juicy Wiggle?
No. What's the Juicy Wiggle?
They do it at Iowa State. That and drink Busch Light.
PBA doesn't really have Nebraska. The Nebraska student section, I don't think really has like a tradition I guess the throwing of the paper, ripping up the paper when the first bucket goes in. That's it. Other than that, though,
I think the student section of Nebraska is very smart. They don't want to be meme worthy.
No, they love their airball chants though.
Yes,
Everyone
they
does.
do.
That's their thing. That's their signature.
All right, coming up next, we'll give away tickets. You want to go see that Omaha team that Tim referenced back home tomorrow night? They did lose at South Dakota, but they are 7-1. And I just want to remind people the season's not over. They got 8 games to go. The 9-game winning streak is over, and people are like, the season is over. No, they're going to play on Saturday night.
Yeah.
But the next 3 games at home are pretty important before they go to South Dakota State and St. Thomas on the same weekend. South Dakota State got a huge win last night, but the Mavs and St. Thomas are tied for first. We'll give away 4 tickets to the Omaha-Denver game tomorrow night where you got to take your trash can. We'll do that when we come back. Plus, you brought up PBA. Let's have a discussion let's just have a discussion about PBA and how people are like, I don't know, that crowd was really engaged. Are you sitting on your couch or are you sitting in the arena?
Let's talk about that.
All right, that's coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, tomorrow night at Baxter Arena. So a great opportunity. If you've not seen Omaha men's basketball play, no hockey this weekend. They're out of Denver. That's a monster series for the Mavs against the defending national champs. So it is basketball only at Baxter Arena. The men play tomorrow night against Denver. Start of the second half in the Summit. Omaha's tied for first. Despite what people are implying, the season did not end in Vermilion. They actually have a second half of the season. Now, I say this a little tongue-in-cheek, but I'm getting this of like, oh, are they still going to do the promotion? Because all the promotion is they've won 9 in a row. I just heard the ad. The athletic department, which I think I love, I think it's a stupid, great promotion. Yeah. And I used to be in that world. But, there was a little bit of karma. Why would you? I know they want to sell tickets, but why would you announce it before they play a game like, Wednesday night and they lose? I'm going to say that's the reason that Omaha lost.
Probably.
But it's been kind of a neat thing for Omaha men's basketball is they have a trash can celebration. So after every win, Kyan Brown comes into the locker room and they kick, they hit, they belt a trash can. It's a celebration that has taken college basketball by storm. Barstool, CBS Sports. I mean, it's gotten a lot of run, and it's a lot of fun, and the guys like it. I think all of us were surprised how much it took off because it's been kind of a private thing that not until they started showing some viral videos after the North Dakota State comeback win, people outside didn't know it was happening. Yeah. So it's cool now that people get to see that because, this is a really fun basketball team. So they're doing this promotion tomorrow night where for $5, 5 gallons, you can get popcorn. So you bring your own can for $5. They're going to fill it at a select concession stand with popcorn. It's a funny, stupid promotion.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the one. So I think this is a takeoff of was it Cinemark where they have bring your own tub?
AMC, I think.
AMC,
yeah,
where they have it once a year where you can bring your own, you can fill it with popcorn. So this is fun and it's drawing attention, and Omaha's drawing actually really well. They're a fun team to watch. Big game tomorrow night against Denver.
They're a fun team to watch.
So 7:05. So we're going to give away 4 tickets. Now you got to bring your can. They have already gone to the Walmart at 72nd and Pacific and bought out all of the $5 gallon.
Really?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Thankfully,
I think they're giving them to the first 100 students.
Okay, cool.
So I'm hoping that people not only eat popcorn, but that they bang the trash can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Noise.
I hope that becomes a thing. Like Mississippi State has their cowbells.
Yeah. And Omaha's got their trash cans.
Omaha has their trash can.
The Astros did too. It worked out.
Like it's only 5 gallons, so it's one you find like in the bathroom. It's not like one of those big tubs. Where
No.
But I hope that people beat their trash can either on each other or on seats or on aisles or railings to make a lot of noise. That would be kind of unique.
Isn't that going to be weird a little bit for Denver when they're at the free throw line? And they got a couple big shots, and people are banging on trash cans, waving trash cans.
It'll sound like basketball.
That'll be great. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. Well, the other part of transitioning to being a good basketball school, I got to teach the students how to be basketball fans. They support, they travel, they don't know how to be basketball fans.
Yeah.
That's kind of the next thing with Omaha Athletics is you got to teach people how to cheer at basketball games. Yes. I know that sounds crazy.
Hire my drum friends from hockey.
You got to know when to get excited for a 3-pointer or when momentum is swinging. There is an art of knowing when to stand up and to start clapping on defense and to start trying to change the tide. You cannot do it every possession. It's kind of a feel gut thing.
I mean, we had
an applause button.
They brought the students. There was a bus full of students that came up to Vermilion, and it's great because Bill Pickett, who's in charge of that, they go to a lot of road hockey and basketball. Just got to teach them how to cheer when it comes to basketball. But the crowds are getting better. I think it'll be a big night tomorrow night. Every Saturday night game in that building. Again, there's nothing else going on.
Yeah.
And Omaha's a really good basketball team. So we're going to give away 4 tickets. Now, we don't have trash cans to give away with this.
No.
So make sure that you bring your own can tomorrow night.
Make sure it's clean.
And the rule is, again, it's max 5 gallons?
Yeah, the little one. Not the one we have here in the studio.
Yeah. You can't bring in a dumpster. You can't wheel a dumpster into Baxter Arena, but which would actually be kind of funny.
That'd be so funny.
They actually should roll in a dumpster that has been used and put it right next to the Denver bench.
Nice.
Yeah, smell that. Filthy animal.
Dave the dumpster.
The first correct caller on this answer. So this promotion was started with Kyan Brown. He came into the locker room, didn't like the mood of a team. This is back in December, and he kicked a trash can across the room. What game was that he did that?
Good question.
Now, if you know, and then I know that you will go to the game tomorrow night with these 4 tickets from Gary and Matt. 402-951-1620. You can even go online, look up the schedule. What was the first game that the kick the can became a thing for Omaha men's basketball? 402-951-1620.
Love it. It's a great question.
I was on a radio show yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing they asked about. They're like, what is this thing? It's great. It's great. It brings promotion to Omaha men's basketball, and it brings promotion to the Summit League.
I still think they should have mini belts that they just kind of bless it with, just a
Corporal
little
punishment night.
No. That'd be one hell of a promotion.
That would be
canceled.
That may be our last
immediately.
days.
That might be the last game of Omaha men's basketball. Come to Corporal Punishment Night at Baxter
Old
Arena.
school parenting night
Oh
at
my
Baxter.
God. They give out rulers. Everybody gets a ruler.
What's the electrical cord for? If you know, you know.
All right, so bring your own can, and we'll give you 4 tickets so you can bring your own can. 402-951-1620. What was the first game that this, I don't know, it's not really a promotion because it's like a thing for the team, that this became a thing. What game was that?
I guess you're right because they didn't schedule it like all the way like months out of the year because typically promotions it's like, hey, it's JJ White bobblehead night or it's Tony Osborne shooter sleeve night, like it's one of those things. It's not like, this was very impromptu. Hey, kudos to them though. Like they got their heads together and they said, how can we try, to
Jordan and Adrian and Zach all got together.
Exactly. And try and get this thing going and more people. So when I went to my first game against Kansas City, it wasn't, there was a decent amount of people. But then when I went to that St. Thomas game, I mean, it was almost like twice as many people were there. So I'm really excited to see, what the turnout's going to be for tomorrow's game with this great promotion.
I don't know if Jimmy knows the answer to this with people calling. He's going to ask me now what was the game.
All right, I'll mute the microphones.
It was the game before Christmas, Jimmy. It was the game after Iowa State.
This one that I'm putting on hold actually had nothing to do with the contest. It's just a coincidence. So keep calling.
All right. So this person wants to be on the air? Yeah. Okay. 402-951-1620. Now you know the answer over there. And now I've given away the answer, which is fine.
It's okay.
All right. Hope to see a lot of people there tomorrow night. I really do. Because this team is good. This team is really good. They're in first place, tied for first with St. Thomas.
They are good.
All right. Here is Sam. Good morning, Sam.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you, Sam?
Are you there?
We're here. Are you there?
Oh, hey, hi, hey, Gary. Yeah, Sam Stinson. So, I
You're
wanted
up
to,
early.
I wanted to, in all honesty, I'm making my way out east. So,
Okay.
I'm in Nebraska right now. I went to the game last night.
Why didn't you let me know?
I know I should have, but in all honesty, I had to get up this morning. I'm working East Coast hours, right now,
he knows what texting Gary Sharp at a basketball game entails.
Hey, and I can sympathize with you because I heard your voice. I just listened to the first segment this morning, and I could tell it was a lot late night. But the one thing I agree with a lot of what you said, and I'm a homer. But
no, let me preface this before you go further. So people recognize your voice and they know we talked before. Is it safe to say you're a bigger Nebraska basketball fan than football fan?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's my first love.
Okay. So people now know where you're going here.
It's my preferred drug. So but I listened to it and the way the context that you all put it in, it didn't sound like we beat a ranked team. It just like there was just no hope or joy. And like I get it. They did. I said it, but I mean I said it besides what you said previously, like 2 weeks ago. Bryce Williams would be an unbelievable number 2.
Mm-hmm.
An unbelievable number 2. But he is the number 1. I believe in this team. Why? Because they do have to play hard to win. But they're pretty deep too, which is weird. They can play a lot of guys and they can play a lot of different ways. And I think there is a shot for Nebraska to still make the NCAA tournament. I'm not hanging my hat on it, but I do believe that they have a decent resume right now. And just go out and win. The Big Ten's eating their own, everybody's going to end up in the top 80 of the net anyway.
Yeah.
Like everybody might end up in the top 80 of the net. And so there's never going to be a bad loss. Don't lose to Minnesota at home. Go out and beat Ohio State at home.
I mean, they're going to have so many quad one opportunities that I think I said you can get 2 on the road and you can win 4 at home. You can win 1 or 2 in the Big Ten tournament. You're in. You know, I mean, that gets you 21 wins, 20 or 21 wins. And because your net is going to be 40.
Yeah,
probably.
Sam, I'm with you. I think 21 is an important number. But that's
Yeah.
probably going to
I mean-
include a couple of wins in the Big Ten tournament.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
tough.
And I don't. There was no doubt that I thought Nebraska. There was no way they were going to miss that Big Ten tournament. I didn't think that Juwan Gary, and I don't think Bryce has that, like, you know, alpha leader type, you know, rah. I think Raleigh Worcester kind of has that in him a little bit. When I watched him last night, he was directing guys, and I think he's a very important piece. But don't be shooting the first 3 shots in each one of the halves and in the overtime, because, like, it's just not your game. But I looked over to my buddy Kreckler, who actually went to the game with me. And I said, when Ulis and Estesian came in, I said, watch, Ulis will get 2 or 3 assists just to Estesian cutting, and he did. You know, like that. I mean, it's there are ways to win with this team, but they do look a little, and unfortunately, you know, almost February, they do look a little discombobulated at times, and that's what worries me, is they just don't play together. But I have hope, and I believe that they will. I'm guessing that they'll get 20 wins in the regular season. I'm guessing that they will will themselves somehow, some way, and that's false hope and broken dreams right there. But that's okay. You know, it really is. I'm a homer, and I just Creighton keep winning because it makes Nebraska look better, because it makes that resume look makes Nebraska's resume look good. But next time I do go to a game, Gary, I'll holler at you, and we'll grab a drink.
Hey, let me ask you this, because I'm trying to dispel people that keep knocking what's going on inside of PBA that are not there and going, well, I got John Rothstein going, well, the crowd is dead. What'd you think of the atmosphere last night?
I mean,
okay.
I was one of those people at the end of regulation that was just like, ooh, man, this is going to happen again. Huh.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
the here we go again Nebraska basketball fan syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You're right. But one thing I will say is it's Nebraska basketball. It's a 7:30 tip. And I looked at it, you know, the 300 was pretty, you know, sparse, but people were still getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Nebraska basketball fans are people, they need to be good for them to, like, cheer loud. They aren't going to just come there. They're like, if Duke was, you know, 6-12 right now, you know, people would still probably cheer pretty darn hard for them. We just don't have that. You know, it's like Nebraska football. People would cheer hard. People cheered hard at 3 and, you know, 4 in the middle of the season, you know, back in 2022 or whatever. You know, but Nebraska basketball fans, they do show up. So I appreciate that about a team that lost 6 straight, and you're still in the conversation. I called when you were gone, Gary, and I said, you know what makes me, you're talking about firing Fred. I said, you know what, the perfect reason why you don't fire Fred is because they've lost 5 straight, and they're still in the conversation for the NCAA tournament. You would kill for that as a Nebraska basketball fan over the last decade and a half. You would kill for that, you know, in late January. That's something that you want to have, and that's kind of what our expectation was. And then they would go 12-2, and you know they pee down their leg at Iowa, and then you're like, oh man, okay, well this team is different. Well, maybe not. And after that loss at Wisconsin, it was the first time I was just like, my expectations for them was wrong. And my expectations right now for them is still not what it was at the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But they did beat a ranked team, number 10 in the net, by 6 at home, albeit, who didn't shoot well. But still, they beat a ranked team. And that is something that you got to just keep. You got to find your wins somewhere. You got to find them, even if they're false wins. You got to take those and be like, hey, you know what? We're back on track to where we want to be. And I hope you're wrong about saying they're in survival mode, because that is not a good place to be.
No.
But the prospect of being hung in the morning focuses on.
Well, this is a good discussion. Like, what's our tone next Friday? Sam, I appreciate it as always. Thank you, my friend.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sam.
So they go to Oregon on Sunday, then they have Washington on Wednesday. And then they have Ohio State next weekend at home. So what's this conversation like next Friday with a split on the Pacific Northwest? Bart Torvik says split, but winning at Oregon, losing at Washington. Now, Oregon won't be, well, the rankings will still be as they are on Sunday, but Oregon won't be ranked anymore. Well, we'll circle back to this discussion on Friday, next Friday.
Have to go 2-1.
All right. We'll take a quick break, come back. Winner, Jimmy?
Yes, and Alex, congratulations.
Alex, we'll see you at Baxter Arena tomorrow night.
He is
Bring
pumped.
more people. You see the Pioneers of Denver tomorrow night and the Mavs.
Bring 3 people, in fact, because you have 4 tickets.
And bring your can.
Love it. Bring your trash can.
Gary and Matt and Jimmy in 1620 The Zone. Hey, I don't know if it's part of his deal, of his NIL deal at Nebraska, but I think Dylan Raiola has 4 season tickets to basketball on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that part of his deal? So those are the seats he sits in all the time. Like last night, it looked like he had like a couple of young kids, fans.
I
But
don't know if that was. It might have been some like kids in the athletic, like sons of the athletic department people.
So the previous game, he had teammates, but he never sits with his teammates. In the stands. So I wonder if he was like those 4 seats are his 4 seats.
Hey, you know what?
A hell of a deal. As a quarterback in Nebraska, part of your deal is they throw in 4 season tickets.
That's awesome. That's what I would do. I think that's what any like true fan of sports would. I don't need no. You know what? Don't give me cash, guys. Just I want 4 courtside seats. That's what I want. Just give me 4 courtside, and we'll be good. You don't have to worry about making up the rest of the gap. Just 4 seats. That's awesome.
Contrary to popular belief, he did not stop by and say, Zach Taylor, I'm better than your current quarterback.
Well,
it's good to see Zach there last night. He had his 2 boys that were with him. I haven't seen him back in a while, but he was sitting courtside last night.
Sure. He's on the upper echelon of people who come to those go to those games.
He's
Zach Taylor, Guy Fieri,
he's had some time off. He's had about a month off.
Whenever Champ comes, it's a big deal. Bud Crawford and best fighter in the world.
Guy's a friend of the zone.
Bob writes in about the UNO promotion. What a great concept you guys have come up with. Probably not only get the Mavs on ESPN, but possibly a few major networks. Saturday, February 1st, come cheer on the Mavs to victory while we celebrate Black History Month, fight to end racism, and Corporal Punishment Night. Bring your belts and we will whip and abuse various fans and trash cans.
Yeah.
Probably should have. Probably think that one out. Probably don't all align.
The next game will be the other version of parenting. Make good choices. Sit in the corner.
There's a lot going. So this is Coaches versus Cancer Week across college basketball. So that's why you see, it didn't happen last night, but you see more college coaches this week with their staffs. They're wearing suits.
Yes.
Instead of their regular khakis and quarter zips.
I love that Rick Pitino just does not care about the whole quarter zips and jumpers and sweatpants and the new vibe of college basketball. He goes, shove it up. Your, you know what? I'm wearing my suits.
He seems to have opinion on a lot of things. He's telling Kentucky fans not to boo Calipari. So Kentucky plays host to Arkansas this weekend.
What is your opinion on that?
I would, if I was a Kentucky fan, you know what would hurt more? So, I mean, Calipari, what they did there, I mean, he had success. It did not go so well, but you know what? If I'm a Kentucky fan, I'm happy. I got Mark Pope and what they're doing. Arkansas can have Calipari, but you know what? I'm okay with what Kentucky's had. He did not leave Kentucky basketball in a mess. Now, they had to rebuild that roster pretty quick, but if I'm a Kentucky fan, I like what Mark Pope's doing. You know what would hurt more?
What would hurt more?
If Calipari, because people are, he's not going to get the Ed Cooley back to Providence treatment, which is for 2 straight years is nasty.
Yeah.
And I think it has hurt Ed Cooley. I think it has really hurt him that it has been nasty when he goes back to Providence. I think what would be the most impactful thing if I was a Kentucky fan with Calipari, what if people did nothing? Don't you think that would sting?
Like, hey, we're
if
better off now.
There wasn't a clap, there wasn't a boo, there was just nothing.
I like that.
When he walked onto the court,
it's quiet.
People didn't react at all.
I think that would. Remind me to never get on your bad side, Mr. Sharp. I mean, that is stone cold, and I think that would. I think
that would hurt me.
That would hurt me because there is a little bit of like if you were to get booed out of the building, like come on, like I want to be the villain. I want to. You don't remember the NCAA championship I helped bring to school? Hey, look at that banner. Boo me. Look at that banner.
We bought that.
But Jimmy,
it's true.
But if you were to walk on and
know
just
it for a fact,
crickets, is it nothing?
Just nothing.
Like, you're just a dude. You're just a guy. We are Kentucky. You were just in front of the wheel. We got someone else in front of the wheel. Heck, when Mark Pope, if he ever leaves, whatever happens, when he's done, we'll get someone else in front of the wheel and we'll keep on driving this thing.
Mark Pope standing ovation on top of that.
Have fun in Arkansas.
I mean, imagine they will show like a tribute video. They will keep it very classy. And I don't, again, Kentucky fans have to be very happy with where they're at because Mark Pope has kept them above where Calipari left it. But I just, as a fan, Silence. That would, if I was Calipari, that would sting.
Can you imagine the DJ like plays the cricket noise like over the PA? You know, just they walk in and just. Beep. I can't do a cricket with my mouth.
Because like in basketball, teams run on the floor, and then like 2 or 3 minutes later is when all the coaches come out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That'd be interesting tomorrow night. I think Kentucky will do a tribute video, but I would, as a fan, I would have no reaction.
Tribute videos for coaches are always weird because it's just like the same 7 shots recycled. And then they do like the behind the scene, like preseason photo shoot, or they do like them walking into like Lurie's Children's Hospital and like greeting like, you know, kids and fans and whatever. But like it really is the same, just 7 like, you know, raising trophies. Like it's the same shot over and over and over. You can only, like with a player, you can mix it up a little bit, you know, get different. Coach, I mean, it's just a weird concept to do, like they're going to do it.
Yeah.
But just in itself, it's just a silly concept.
It'll never happen because they will not allow this to be scheduled. You imagine if a former football coach brought his team back into Lincoln.
Gee, I wonder who that could be.
Oh Lord, yeah. Okay, sorry, I had to put 2 and 2.
I mean,
together
they'll never do that.
Why
They'll
not?
never be Nebraska, Central Florida.
Because Mike Riley's not.
No,
him.
it would be extremely uncomfortable.
Do you know what I like? I like chaos.
They would. It would not be good.
Yeah, no.
I mean, not good of like people be violent. They'd be standing by the.
It would just be
railings.
awkward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would just and
They wouldn't side sit.
Hey, Scott creates awkwardness. I don't think he leans into it.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I mean, you think about, well, what would be the reaction coming back? I mean, people thought the same thing about Coach Ilitch.
Well, he got a positive reaction. I don't know.
The one though is Ed Cooley, man.
That's tough.
Ed Cooley put a lot. He took Providence basketball back to, you know, when the old Billy Donovan was playing there, and I thought after the first year I kind of get it, but when they were there recently, it was still nasty, like violently nasty.
Yeah.
All right, Mike Schaefer. That's also his message board name on 24/7. He is coming up next. We'll talk some hoops.
Mike
we'll talk some
Schaefer,
football.
aka Mike Schaefer.
Matt Verzal as well in the last hour of the week on Gary and Matt in 1620 The Zone. great song. Rest in peace. Let's discuss some things, many things to discuss.
So many things to discuss.
With a man from Husker 24/7, Mike Schaefer. Good morning.
Mike.
Yeah, hey. I
Hey.
didn't hear anything until just now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you as well.
All right.
Beautiful.
Let me ask you, because you are I think it's not only our jobs, but we all like going to Nebraska basketball games because it's kind of an outlet. Like football, we're working. Basketball, you can kind of go there and enjoy the good and the bad. How would you describe? Because people always want to make comments about the atmosphere at PBA, and I know some people leave early. I'm over that. Whatever they got to do, they got to do. But what's your general feel on the atmosphere inside of Pinnacle Bank Arena and how, I guess, quote unquote, fans should be fans at Nebraska basketball when they need them?
Yeah, I wasn't there last night, so I do want to put that caveat out. But that arena can be absolutely electric. Like I think of the sports, where a fan can actually affect what's happening in the field of play. I think basketball is the one that seems to be the most likely, because when that place is loud, when the energy is good, and we saw it all of last year. Keisei Tominaga hits the big three in transition, and people lose their mind, and Nebraska fed off of that. And so I think the energy in that building can be really, really good. They can also be super nervous. I mean, the entirety of the USC game or the Rutgers game. Actually, the Rutgers game is probably the better example. 8:00 start. People came in kind of sleepy. Wasn't like a really fired up crowd. The team kind of wallowed through that entire game and was never really able to distance itself from Rutgers. They had the two best players on the court in terms of their NBA guys in Harper and Bailey. And then they went and proved it. And that was a game where Nebraska, should be able to beat Rutgers at home. The environment should have been good for it. And it just kind of wasn't. And the team wasn't able to feed off of that. And it shouldn't have to work in that order either. I mean, the team should also be giving people a reason to be fired up. And so it has to kind of work in conjunction. But that venue can absolutely be special when things are going in the right direction. It can also lead to a lot of, well, we've seen this before, which is exactly, I assume, what happened on Thursday night with the Illinois game, because a lot of people that have season tickets have watched Nebraska give that game away many, 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 many times. And I was fully expecting them to, because they have not been, and I really kind of want to look this up, but I think it's going to be so depressing. It would be akin to when BC and I did an entire podcast on Nebraska's overtime issues in football. I want to look up what Nebraska's last minute in each half, what the point differential is this season, because I think it is embarrassingly bad, embarrassingly bad, particularly for Big Ten play. But they were able to survive last night. You got Bryce Williams. The Bryce Williams I wanted to see all year showed up in overtime. The guy who just took over, the guy that proved that he can absolutely be a super senior best player on the court. He did it. And I want to know if that guy can be there for this team more. I don't think a strong likelihood exists of them getting back to the NCAA tournament, but I think they can turn this entire season in a different direction. And I think they have the ability to do that. We'll see how they play against Oregon, and if they can do anything, in that 2-game set against Washington and Ohio State. If you can sweep that, we might be having a different conversation. But I really liked what I saw from Bryce Williams in overtime. It was a wild game for him, all over the map. But he took care of business in overtime, and I think that's the biggest takeaway that I have from that game.
So macro basketball question here. On the scale of most frustrating things to watch as a fan or as a reporter, where does bad body language and lack of effort rank?
I'm not a big body language guy, because I think people talk themselves into seeing what they want to see. I think Bryce Williams is a great example. Last year, I had friends, different media people kind of would point this out. Like, they would talk about Bryce's body language. He didn't look like he was as excited for his teammates. He didn't look happy enough. And then I think you talk to the guys over there, and it's Bryce is a great teammate.
Sure.
Bryce is the guy that, I think everyone displays their emotions differently.
Mm-hmm.
And we are predisposed, particularly if you're an emotionally excitable type like I am, you're predisposed to wanting people to react like you. I mean, how many times have you heard people talk about how they want to see Fred Hoiberg more fired up when the officials are jobbing Nebraska or when things aren't going well? You know who doesn't want to see Fred Hoiberg fired up? His cardiologist. There's other issues at play here besides what we want to see with our eyes. How many times, would you hear about people talk about Mike Riley or Nebraska's football coach where they wanted more of the Bo Pelini chewing somebody? Like, we get so emotionally attached to how we feel. We think that coaches or players should act that way. I think if you talk to people in the moment, if you get too emotionally high or too emotionally low, or you let yourself go, you lose control of the situation. And that's never what you want in athletics. So it's a really tough thing for me because I have really kind of taken the view of I don't want to get wrapped up in body language too much. And yet at the same time, I love Keisei Tominaga because that guy was insane. And I love that. As a fan, as a person who just loves sports, I love seeing that kind of emotion, but I don't want to penalize a guy or talk ill of someone because they choose to emote or react differently on a court or on a field than what I would have expected. Because I think that's hard. I mean, some people are better or more in check and control of their emotions, and that might help them because if they get outside of that, then they could start to flounder.
Hey, let's shift to football and recruiting. And for VIP members of Husker 24/7, you just put up tomorrow. Nebraska has, junior days so it's called Elite Day. We'll get into a little bit more on that. But this has been a busy month for coaches on the road. Does it appear that they're only recruiting defensive backs? I say that a little tongue in cheek because it seems like Nebraska has gotten at least some interest for some big time defensive backs in the class of 26 around the country. Am I getting that vibe?
You're definitely correct on that. I mean, I've talked to a number of defensive backs that really like what they're hearing from Addison Williams. They've got several coming in this weekend from the state of Florida that are all very interesting. They're looking for big, long corners like literally everybody else in football at every level. But they're in such a unique scenario because this is the fourth defensive back coach in the last 4 years. It's another guy who wants to reinvent the room of which he's inheriting. It's a room where you have a lot of bodies and not a lot of production so far because there's some young players that haven't had their opportunity or maybe haven't really shown that they deserve an opportunity. So it's a fascinating spring ahead for the defensive back room. I think it's more corner that's being targeted than safety, but they're certainly looking at several safeties as well. But I think they want to try to find some corners that you can develop over time and then be able to turn them loose. I mean, I was sort of thinking about this going back to the beginning of Matt Rule's time here. The one position where they haven't really nailed like a big high school guy is in that cornerback room. I think Mario Buford might be as highly rated of a corner as they've kind of brought in, and that shouldn't insinuate that they don't have talent over there because I'm excited about Donovan Jones. I'm very curious what Mario Buford's going to be, but I do think that is an area that they could certainly stand to try to go get the most talented guy that they can. I think that Evan Cooper sort of fell prey to what Mike Cavanaugh did, which is you have a certain type that you like to recruit and you tend to like the underdog guys and you tend to build that up a little bit. And they weren't necessarily in on some of the top defensive backs in the country at times. I think Addison Williams is taking some big swings in Florida. We'll see if he can connect on any of them, but he's certainly got connection. And by all accounts, seems to be a pretty likable guy. I'm pretty excited about the opportunity to meet him here, whether they do an introductory press conference at some point in February or just, throw him out during spring football.
Hey, so I'm watching some of the practices from the Senior Bowl, and he's got 2 former DBs that are playing in the game, and they showed a group of coaches on the sidelines the other day, and he's glad-handing with everybody. I mean, you can tell that recruiting is in his wheelhouse, but the fact that he's at the Senior Bowl and he got 2 dudes that are there, should bode well for a full room now and what they're trying to add to that room in the future.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely just they have to continue to keep stacking talent. And like I said, it's such a unique situation because you've had so many different defensive back coaches. And what that does is you get different body types. You get different players that they type or that they want to prefer. You have guys that maybe want longer defensive backs or taller defensive backs, or want guys that can easily cross train so you can throw somebody in at safety as a pinch. But you also have defensive back coaches that want pure corners, that don't want to try to take a guy that's a safety and make him a corner because his hips won't be as flexible. So it's really unique. I mean, Travis Fisher to Evan Cooper to John Butler to Addison Williams are four very different personalities. If you've had, I shouldn't say that because I haven't met Williams yet, but three very different personalities, and I assume a very different one for a fourth as well. That room has had a lot of turnover. And so it doesn't allow for just natural development. And so what I'm hoping, and I think Addison Williams was a hire that Matt Rule made because he's going to be here for a while and could be someone that could advance up the ranks. He's a former defensive coordinator at two different stops. He's a guy that has connections down in Florida. He's someone that I think you want on your staff for more than a year if you're fortunate enough to have it. And I think they're really investing in him to invest and build that defensive backs room.
Mike, by the way, I've been trying to go through and figure out that stat for you, what Nebraska basketball is doing in the last minute. My math might be a little bit off. I got like 4 games left, but I'm at like 0. So it hasn't been as bad. It hasn't been as bad.
Okay. Are you doing the last minute of each half?
Yes, each half, last minute, and I'm doing the math in my head. So I'm hovering around that 0. It's not terrible. But I still got like 3 games left, so I'll update you at the end of the interview. So
it feels terrible.
It feels I totally agree.
Hey,
and
then when you're discussing this on the podcast, why don't you throw in Nebraska's inability for like 10 to 15 years to finish at the rim?
Yeah, someone tweeted at me like, "Why does it seem like Nebraska's been missing layups for 20 years?" And I was thinking to myself, like, at no point have I been watching this team and thought, hey, they got pretty good touch around the rim.
All right, now we're at -4 after looking at the Rutgers game. Hey, so tomorrow, Matt Rule talks first time in quite, I think, the Pinstripe Bowl, right? It's first time since the Pinstripe Bowl that he will speak. What is the number one thing, Mike, that you need answered, that you need to figure out that's been on the top of your mind?
Well, I have a bunch of different things that I would love to have answered. I mean, there's stuff that I don't know that's even worth asking because it's too introspective for what that press conference is going to be tomorrow. But this is a guy going into his 3rd year.
Yeah.
And what I want to know is, in what ways does he feel like this program is better set up for sustained success today than when he first took over in November of 22? And I don't know that that's a question that's going to get asked tomorrow. I don't know that it's a question that should get asked tomorrow, but I really hope that, we at Husker 24/7 have an opportunity to ask that question of Matt Rule at some point, because I think that should be asked of him, because I think this is a guy that has had to change his DNA a little bit since he's come back to college football. And that's a really curious conversation.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of individual that I think would be interested in talking through that to a degree. It might be guarded in a sense, but college football has changed. How has Matt Rule changed? How has this Nebraska program changed? In what ways is this Nebraska program better set up for sustained success today than when he first walked through the doors in November of 22? I think from the outside, it's a relatively hard question to answer.
Yeah.
Because they're 12-13 across 25 games. They had the worst special teams in America this past year. We don't currently know what the plan is for their special teams coordinator, so I suspect that'll be one of the first questions asked. I am more in big picture mode than I am in news, like nuts and bolts news type things. I'm more interested in trying to drill on where his perspective is at of where Nebraska is, where he is, and how he's going to get them to where he ultimately wants to go. We know he wants to win and win and win and win, but where are they at in this process? Because he's relied a lot on talking about what his teams have done, incrementally. Does he feel like this is a team that's ready to make the Baylor 2019 jump? And if so, what is the evidence that backs that for him? I mean, those are the kind of things. And again, that's more big picture than what we're going to get out of Saturday. I anticipate we're going to get a lot of questions about individual pieces from the portal, what positions they felt like were most important to get. And that's valuable stuff. I don't mean to be glib when I say that.
Yeah.
But I am very curious about how he feels about the direction of where this is at, because I do feel, and maybe it's just because I thought they were going to be a better team than they ended up being. I do feel like Nebraska's season didn't go how they anticipated that it would. And you can't just come out and say that publicly, but I am fascinated how he would sort of approach the idea of what's different about him, what's different about this team, and why are they set up for sustained success. And I'm sure he would have a great answer, but I would love to know what that is.
Sure.
Hey, you think Ed Foley's name will come up? He's still on the website. He's still around.
I mean, I think it has to. I understand that I probably beat the dead horse to death every time special teams comes up, but there is no doubt in my mind that I have never watched a more inept special teams unit in my life. And Matt Rule, unfortunately, we have a lot of track record of him talking. He stood up and told us that Ed Foley was the guy to fix this. They stuck with Ed Foley throughout the entire year. And I understand that he's not the one snapping the football on the ground, but ultimately he is the one in charge of that entire unit. He is getting paid to be in charge of that entire unit. He brought in those personnel that did not succeed. And we still don't know what the plan is going forward. Now, maybe he's going to illuminate that. I'm still fascinated. I know that Matt and I had a conversation about this after the Pinstripe Bowl.
Yeah.
I am not convinced that it's going to be a full-time assistant coach. If it was, why wouldn't that have been announced already? And if it's someone that's involved in the NFL that's playing in the Super Bowl, okay, great. And maybe you can't talk about it at this point. But it is fascinating to me that everyone knows that this is an issue. Everyone knew coming into the year that it was a potential issue. And yet we haven't really seen much addressed outside of they got a punter and they got a long snapper. A lot of questions for Matt Rule about special teams, and I anticipate that's something that he will be asked about a lot tomorrow.
Hey, is tomorrow also, because they have quite a few fellas on campus, and it's up on for the subscribers on Husker 24/7. So we've now gone from Junior Day to now we call it Elite Day. Is that how they're phrasing this?
Yeah, I don't know if a marketing team of PJ Fleck dropped in to pass that one on to Matt Rule, but he does like the word elite. So, and look, this visit weekend is nothing to scoff at. I mean, it's not quite the giant boombox party at the baseball game that was March of 23, but it's a pretty impressive group when you think about guys that are coming from Idaho, Arizona, Chicago, Florida, Michigan. You got a lot of players coming from different areas, and those are the ones that I've been able to confirm. I'm sure they have some people that could sneak into town that are doing so without a lot of notoriety, but certainly could create it if people knew they were coming in. So I look at this as an opportunity for Nebraska to continue to pitch and sell. And really what I think of this weekend is the idea that you want to get out of it is convince the guys that you want to set up official visits, that you want them to come back. You want this to sort of, in a lot of cases, be the introduction to then getting them back for that big official visit. And whether it's Jordan Campbell, the linebacker that's committed to Miami that's coming up this weekend, Kelvin Obit, the offensive lineman from Idaho, that this will be his second trip out. There's some guys there that I think are going to line up some official visits, and it's a big opportunity for Nebraska.
Yeah. Hey, Shafe, as always, we appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks,
Mike.
Mike.
Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. I bring this up not to alarm people.
Sure.
But, this isn't always accurate. But for the most part, Nebraska's pretty good at removing people from their website.
Yeah.
Like when they came back to school, all of a sudden, a Lieben Tritt and a Bullock and some other guys were not on the website.
Sure.
Ed Foley has never left the website. Now, I also I may be oblivious. I was still on the holiday mindset. Football Scoop was the first to announce. I'm not sending out an alarm. I'm just saying this is kind of odd. Matt Rule never confirmed this, right? That Ed Foley was out. I mean, he kind of did, but didn't in the post game at the Pinstripe Bowl. But it's just, I don't know. It's interesting to me that he's still listed on the website.
I I have a sneaking suspicion that he's probably still around in some sort of way, shape, or form or capacity. And also in the past, we have seen that when coaches leave Nebraska, we get emails about it. We get told pretty immediately, this person is gone, this person resigned, this person is taking over this role, so on and so forth. I don't believe we've gotten that from the athletic department.
I mean, the volleyball coach at Nebraska is listed as Danny Busboom Kelly.
Yes.
They've erased John Cook.
Oh, by the way, so I was reading, we were getting ready for yesterday's show, and I was just kind of going through stuff and just, jogging the memory of, what are my talking points. So this is at like 10 p.m. I'm reading this stuff on John Cook. Okay. It was already written in the past tense. So 5 hours after.
Thanks for the memes.
Yeah. 5 hours after he resigned or he retired, it was John Cook had an incredible legacy. And Troy Dannon says, I'm like, oh my God, they moved on this quick. I mean, they're pretty good over there on that website. So he's still there.
Still listed as special teams coordinator.
I wonder what the morale would be if number one, if they still kept him around or still kept him as special teams coordinator, which I'm pretty positive he's done. But what would the morale be if they didn't hire a full-time assistant?
There'd be some splaining to do. You'd have to have some solid reasoning on why.
You would have to have solid gold reasoning as to why you are not expending the money to have a full-time coordinator in a phase of the game you've been terrible at for the last 2 years that's cost you games. You would have to have one heck of a reason. But if it's a good reason, I'll take it. I'm just saying, like if it's good explanation, I'll take it.
Who would have thought John Cook off the website? Ed Foley remains. Put some respect on John Cook. 25 years.
By the way, Schaefer was totally right. I'm almost done with this last minute first half stat for Nebraska basketball. It's at -16 right now.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah. Probably don't even want to expand and go middle 8 either.
Nope.
All right. Matt Verzal going to join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, our next guest is a proud uncle. There are very few uncles out there that has a nephew that's playing baseball at Nebraska and a nephew who gets to play for the great Scott Strohmeyer over at Iowa Western. Matt Verzal joins us. Congratulations.
Morning, boys. Thank you.
Morning.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty cool deal.
I think that's, and we're talking about Cash Butenbach, who is committed to Iowa Western, and your quarterback from this state championship year, Dylan Van Dyke, is going over there. Stroh's put together an incredible recruiting class. That's a great spot for Cash.
Yeah, it's these kids, the kids for the 25 and 26 team. It's going to be my only advice to you, young man, is just grind. Okay, just because nobody's coming around, it doesn't mean you can't play. It doesn't mean you're not good. It just means you're in a different time. They were both, both of them are very good players. They got a little frustrated with the way it goes, but with the numbers changing and people having to sort things out, this is not everybody's path is the same. So these two young men, my nephew included, have decided to take a chance and see what happens.
Hey, there's another one who you hold in high regard, and we voted him as the high school player of the year. Will be honored at the Jet Award in Joe Kaliga. He's going to South Dakota State. We know Dan. That's a steal for Dan Jackson. What do you think he'll be like at the next level?
Yeah, Deuce is awesome. He's a good kid, man. He just, when he first got there, he wasn't real big and he wasn't real fast, and he just wasn't. But he was athletic, and you can tell in their gait how they walk, and he just has an athletic gait. And then legit just nose to the grindstone, and worked and got stronger and got faster, and he's quick and he's got hops, and he's DJ stole one there. Yeah. So, and for us Nebraska folks, I mean, maybe this is the avenue we got to go. Danny's going to recreate the Nebraska Jacks that he did before. I had the chance to talk to him and Coach Huffman when they were in. They congregate at Paisans when they're both in town. So he said, yeah, well, he was planning on doing it in his brief stint as the defensive coordinator in New Mexico. So he said, yeah, I'm going to be around. I said, okay, well, here's 3-4 you might need to take a look at, because nobody's taking a look at him. And so then it all worked out. And I'm super happy for the Kaligas, and it's an awesome chance. And wherever they play him, I mean, the kid did everything but sell popcorn.
Yeah,
he kicked off, he kicked field goals, he was on offense and defense. So, and he never bitched once. Like, he didn't ask out of games. He'd get pissed when he took him out. So, great opportunity for him.
Matt, I'll kind of lay the floor for you to answer the age-old question, but it's always, in terms of recruiting, athleticism and measurables versus previous production. Kind of where do you fall on that side of the map?
You have to be. It depends what you're trying to get done. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you want the flash and the dash, and you want all the stuff that's going to get you in the social media and wherever you need to go, then you take, the better the score, the better whatever measurable you need, you get that. But what so many miss out on is just the football player. Like, we all know people in our lives that have all those measurables, right? Mm-hmm. And then they go out to play the game, and they are nowhere to be found. Mm-hmm. Okay, they are nowhere. They don't show up on any stat sheet. They don't show up on any highlight. They don't show up nothing, because they don't know how to play. Like, they don't love the game. The game does not consume them. And that's, so I'm looking to find a football player with above average, like a median score. McClintock and CFB professor, professor, they've got some stuff, where you can just say, hey, this is what this kid is. He projects out to this. Great. That's all I need to know. Then I can go watch the film, and I can say, okay, this kid's just a player.
Yeah.
Like, when the lights get bright, we'll just keep using Joe as the example. When the lights got bright in that game, Van Dyke went to find him, and he made two pretty amazing catches. It's fresh in my mind because the mom football end of the year banquet was this Monday, so we watched the state championship game, but I'd forgotten about the play.
Yeah.
And he went and made those. Then he made a couple of defensive plays. He made some huge tackles. Mm-hmm. So can you make the play? It's great. It's great if you're on a 4.140 and you can bench 900 pounds, but you got to play.
Yeah.
Like we ain't having a track meet. We're playing football. And so I take the player over the measurable.
Hey, aren't you describing, because he's a dear friend of both of us, former teammate of yours, aren't we describing Lob, Caleb Benning? Like, I don't think Caleb would go to a camp as a junior at Westside in the summer and flash. But if I'm at Phelps Field on a Friday night in the fall, he's going to flash. And that's essentially who you're talking, like a kind of player you're describing, right?
Yeah. Now, hopefully his father doesn't hear a broadcast of this, but Caleb is right at that probably higher end, not the elite level, but at the higher end of all the testing kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
But his knowledge of the game is very high, and that will get you in position to anticipate throws, and then you get into film, and now okay, every third down they want to do this, every second down they like this. So now you cheat a yard or two. Well, a yard or two for a safety. Now you're an interceptor. And instead of a guy that's going to get a pass completed, you're going to make a tackle. Now you're making an interception. So Caleb has those skills, right? He has that knowledge of the game. Now, where that gets into it is how the game is taught to you. Coaches that teach young kids we got to do this and we're going to win. Okay, is totally different than a coach that says, "Hey, we're going to do this, and here's the reasoning behind it."
Mm-hmm.
When you teach them the reasons, then they love the game. They accept the game. They're not just like, "Oh, you told me I do this, and we're going to win." It's not how it goes. Like, too many coaches get caught up in that BS instead of teaching the kid the why. Like, why do we do this? And that's what makes players like Caleb. Haas did a great job before Lance Brown screwed up his little junior program. But that was that coaching staff. They put out high-level football IQ guys.
Matt, do you think that when Nebraska looks at what they did in this transfer portal cycle, that in the next transfer portal cycle, whether it be in the spring or next winter, they're going to say, hey, maybe we should take a little bit money out of what we're giving to wide receivers and defensive backs and put more money into what we would be giving offensive linemen?
Well, I mean, do you want to win?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to win, then you're going to get your lines right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can get by with average talent at a running back position, a receiver position, when your lines are great.
Mm-hmm.
You can get by with average corners. Ask any corners in Nebraska why they were so good. Like, well, the quarterback had 1.2 seconds to throw it. I can run for 1.2 seconds real fast.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to get away from me in 1.2 seconds. So if you want to be great, like if you want to be where you should be, the only focus is offensive and defensive line. And yeah, you could probably ask Dominic Raiola if he would like them to pay a little more attention to the offensive line. I'm sure he will be out on the recruiting trail, hitting those dudes up.
Yeah.
But yeah, people. Okay, take it to the NFL. Okay, you have a freak in Kansas City that can win you games at the quarterback position, however way you want to get down. Okay, but then you look at the other side at Philly, and they got the best offensive line in football.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
And now KC fan is probably the most nervous they've been for a Super Bowl.
Sure.
Because they know now Spags is probably going to take that away and so we're going to put 7 in the box and play man-to-man and make Jalen Hurts beat us. But what if that doesn't work?
Mm-hmm.
What if Philly still runs it with Saquon? Then what do you do?
Sure.
Right? Now you're in trouble. Look at what Ohio State does. Ohio State amasses offensive linemen. Michigan the year before, offensive line and defensive line. Like the Fisk kid who I said was going to be the steal of the draft for the Rams.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
He ain't bad.
Yeah, he ain't bad.
He hadn't had a bad rookie year. If you want to be great at the game of football, get your lines right. The rest of it will fall into place. And truth be told, you don't need it. You just need good lines.
Hey, we'll get you out on this. I say John Cook, and what pops into your head?
Legend.
Thank you.
I mean, that dude. And, happy for him. It sucks they didn't win it all. Like, that would have been the cherry on top. But for a guy that's, is intense and he doesn't care if you like him. He really doesn't. But he's the definition of, hey, we win, so you don't have to like me. because I put winter out there. Because there's people that don't. And that's fine. But to see him the gals get him to loosen up a little bit and do some of the stuff in a million years you never would have thought you'd see John Cook do. That was pretty cool. But yeah, man, it's Nebraska's fortunate. And the craziest thing that when DKB got hired, the fourth coach in program history.
I know.
Fourth.
I know. That's pretty amazing, the stability in that program.
Shout out to Pettit for creating it and Cook for mastering it, and now we'll see what DKB can do.
Yep. Verse, as always, I appreciate the conversation. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, boys, we'll see you.
That's Matt Verzal. So I do want to read this. So Harper Murray put out on TikTok. So she was at the game last night. Her boyfriend won the slam dunk competition. And John referenced the first person he talked to was Harper Murray when he said he was going to retire. She put out a TikTok. I would have never thought this would be John's last game in Bob after 25 years, but what an honor it has been to be the one to walk out with him. I can't thank John enough. I've noticed he's comfortable with his players calling him John.
Yeah.
Like he has that kind of relationship. Not every coach, some coaches are like, you got to call me coach.
Yeah.
Some people are like, you know what? I got a first name. Just call me that. And it's not like a disrespect. It's that's how.
Yeah.
So a lot of his players will just call him John. I can't thank John enough for what he does for me and my family. He stuck by my side and brought back a smile that I thought was gone forever. It's nearly impossible to put into words how much of an impact he has had on me, and I will do everything I can to make him proud for the rest of my life. He deserves the world and nothing less. I love you, Coach. Thank you for everything.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Put that out on TikTok.
That's
and then
awesome.
She was briefly at the game last night. I think I saw. No, I think her and John Cook walked out of PBA together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. When you see a player-coach relationship like that blossom, and that's just the special things about sports. It's the little things about sports that make it so great.
Like the Royal Rumble. We'll get your brief breakdown, which is coming in Indianapolis this weekend. When we come back, we'll put a wrap on the show. But first, let's give you an opportunity to win $100. You ready, Jimmy?
I am.
All right. So people that have been following along this week, this contest, it's you have to complete this play. If you're able to complete this play in detail, you're going to walk away with $100. Nebraska Ball Mike. It doesn't mean if you come to pick up your $100, you got to bring us donuts, but that's just what Mike wants to do.
And
call it by its name. Call it by its name. What's its name, guys?
And then we keep changing it every day.
Yeah.
Finish the play. Finish the play.
Okay. I won't remember on Monday, but we're going to go with that.
First caller, 402-951-1620. After Jimmy plays this.
First, I must say, I'm sorry, Joey.
One time, one play is all it takes, and if you blow coverage, the game's over.
2nd and 8. Packers with only 88 yards in the second half. A blitz coming from the Giants. Favre looking for Driver.
Oh, that game.
Yeah. I get cold just thinking about it.
All right. Complete the play, and you can win $100. 402-951-1620. All right, back to wrap up the week. It's first weekend without football since August, but you have, I hope you're listening, Iowa JD, number 1, number 2 in wrestling tonight.
Yes.
Penn State and Iowa. You got a huge weekend series for Omaha hockey. The schedule's gotten more difficult. They're out of Denver to take on the Pios, the defending national champions, number 5 in the country. You got a full weekend of basketball, red, blue, and black all play. A lot of stuff going on this weekend, so enjoy it. The weather is going to be a banger again.
Yes.
And it's going to be a special weekend because Chris just won $100 in our contest. You want to now is he a Giants fan?
I don't know, but he sounded pretty damn happy, so I think he was, because the couple people that called before said, one person said, is this a completion to Driver? And I said, no, but he did have one earlier in the game for a touchdown. Another one said, was it complete? I said, yes, it was complete, but you got to do better than that. So let's play the full play.
One time, one play is all it takes, and if you blow coverage, I mean, the game's over.
2nd and 8. Packers with only 88 yards in the second half. A blitz coming from the Giants. Favre looking for Driver, and it's picked off. Intercepted by Webster. Corey Webster with the interception. He has taken over at cornerback for
That's
the
Steve
Giants
Spagnuolo.
bench after starting the first
Should be in Canton.
Yeah.
Defensive coordinator in Canton.
Yeah.
If they
That's not joking.
win the 3rd Super Bowl in a row,
Oh, geez.
done.
The internet will break. People will be
Done.
so upset. It's not Chiefs fatigue, by the way. I think it's envy. But that's
yeah.
okay.
I think they're connected. Yes. It
Yes,
always is.
of course
And
it
then
is.
this will be the toughest opponent that Kansas City has played in
Did
the
you hear
Super
what
Bowl.
Edelman said? Edelman was like, well, Brady already beat Mahomes twice in the playoffs, so it's, he's got no shot at ever being the greatest of all time.
5 Super Bowls in 7 years, and one of those Super Bowls was the COVID year against Brady. But got to remember, that Chiefs team was decimated by injuries in the offensive line. And also, they had a little bit of a tragedy before they left Kansas City. And you were playing before 25,000 people, and it was so awkward, and they didn't even go to Tampa until Saturday. So, not taking anything away from Brady winning a Super Bowl with the Bucs, but let's just keep in mind that
Weren't they in Tampa too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a home game.
Yeah.
My question, and it would be the mic drop, would be, has anyone else won 3 Super Bowls in a row? There's your answer. There's no argument. It's hard to win 1. It's really hard to win 2 in a row. It's damn near impossible to win
Winning
3
is
in a row.
hard. We should appreciate winning, but I don't know what the Monday morning in a week will be like if the Chiefs win the 3rd straight Super Bowl. The neutral fan will lose their mind.
Cam Newton rather had an MVP than a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, he's also selfish. I don't know why people listen to Cam Newton.
I don't even know how he got onto that platform.
Well, I know because that platform is perfect for him because that's what they want. He's looking
Yeah.
for some clicks.
Yeah.
He's a clicker guy.
Hey, you
I
know
don't
what?
know. I'd rather be a team guy and win a Super Bowl than I would rather be
No, he's on our screen right now.
In our world, I would rather be really, really good at the top of the ratings in this market than to win Nebraska Sportscaster of the Year.
Well, here's my thing, right? You win an MVP, that's your reward. You win a Super Bowl, that's 52 other
our
guys.
award.
That's 52 other guys. I love that. It was Justin Tuck when they were playing in the 2nd Super Bowl against the Patriots, and he went down the line and he goes, "I already won one, guys. I already won one. It is the greatest feeling in the world. I'm going to play so you get to feel that feeling. I'm playing so," and then he goes, "Are you going to play so he gets to feel that? Are you going to play so he gets to feel that?" It's one of the best, in like position group pump up speeches I've ever heard, and that's what it's about.
We're getting to Fox and ESPN about to explode going at each other. The Chiefs' derangement syndrome has broken a lot of journalists, and people are fighting with each other. I'm all here for it. Next week's going to be a circus.
Oh, it's going to be
But
great.
Fox and ESPN, like the main celebrities that have microphones and TV cameras in front of them, are just going at each other. Like Orlovsky, Nick Wright went after Orlovsky.
I was about to say Nick Wright versus who? I mean, that's just really what it is. It's because Nick Wright and his guys, Nick Wright's got Broussard and Kevin Wildes, who are with him to the very end of the line, and it's a really good show. It's first things.
I mean,
first.
he used to work in Kansas City.
and they, I mean, that is. Tell you something right now. That's a show that you don't want to go after because they'll go after you. I love it. I love the drama.
Yeah.
I love the cross promotion, cross network, everything like that.
Yeah, I think Fox probably needs to worry about more of the lawsuits that are lining up against them.
That is a good point.
All right. This weekend also is the Royal Rumble. On who will win the Royal Rumble, not named John Cena.
It is the most loaded Royal Rumble, I think, maybe ever.
Oh,
seriously, you have
since 2001.
Yes. Yes,
It's a good year.
you have a
Jim
lot
Ross
of
was great that day.
superstars. You have a lot of super. You have Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. You have John Cena will be in it. Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, he will be in it. You'll have Jey Uso. You're going to have maybe Matt Cardona, maybe Joe Hendry, maybe Jim Hendry. So here's my prediction. You want my prediction?
Yes.
So I think the chalk is Cena.
Okay.
I think what they'll do is all 30 entrants will be in the ring. Okay. They'll be thrown out. They're done. No one's coming in anymore, right? 30 guys. It's over. And you'll have your final four. You'll have Seth Rollins. You'll have CM Punk. You'll have Randy Orton. And you'll have John Cena. It's a great four. Reigns will be out. It'll be very dramatic. The bloodline will cross. And then all of a sudden, all 30 entrants have entered, right? Now, 5, 4. Everyone's like, what do you mean? All 30 are in. What's going on? We already got the entrance. There's not supposed to be another person. 3, 2, 1. Lights out. And it's final boss, The Rock, the 31st entrant of the Royal Rumble, uses his power on the TKO board. Goes, I'm the boss. I get to do what I want. He walks in, entrant number 31, wins the Royal Rumble, challenges Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania.
This should be your podcast. I would listen.
All right. Can you imagine?
like
that. Can you imagine, Cole, this isn't supposed to happen. This is supposed to be 30 minutes. The next thing goes, you shut your mouth, Cole. That's the final ball. He does what he wants. He's your boss. He's my boss. He's everybody's boss. It's his right. Much fun.
Hope to
Oh,
see a lot of people at Baxter Arena tomorrow night with the trash can. If you haven't seen Omaha basketball, great opportunity. Big weekend of sports. Next week is Super Bowl week.
Oh,
It's
going to be these
weekend
two-
without football this weekend.
I
Do
can
it.
take
Do
it,
something
though.
good.
I can take it.
Weather's going to be nice, so there's
I can
that.
take it.
Yep. Live, laugh, and punt. Make memories out there. Be safe, everybody, this weekend, as we just made it through a dry January.
I didn't.
For Matt, for Jimmy, I'm Gary. Midday crossovers coming up next on 1620 The Zone.